Stand up, New York Giant fans. Been a couple of days off, but I'm excited to be back. We got a huge game tomorrow against the Dallas Cowboys as the Giants look to get their second straight win. Baddog, what's going on, my man?
It feels good to do this show after George W. Bush. Feels good, man, because for a lot of that game, looked like we were going 0-4. And Daniel Jones said, boys, get on my shoulders and we carry you. And we ended up winning the game in overtime. You know, the good thing about this is, Chris, a lot of times these are the games that we would always find a way to lose. And last week you found a way to win. So hopefully momentum carries into this big game against Dallas tomorrow.
Absolutely. And we're going to circle back to Daniel Jones in a second because that was obviously the highlight of last week. And so far, really, this season, the highlight's been him and Thomas. Thomas, of course, questionable going into this game on the offensive end, at least. We'll talk about both of them. That's obviously a huge storyline going into this game. I'm sure a lot of fans are nervous about that. But let's say hello to a couple people in the chat. What's going on there, Andrew, man? What's going on there, Bowler? What's going on there, Easy Lopez? Andrew in the chat. Tay in the chat. Jameson in the chat. Matthew Stein in the chat. Silver in the chat. Thank you to everybody for being here. Bowler 1000, Luann. CeeLo ran, Easy Lopez, Mitch Trubisky in the chat. Maybe he's looking for a job. So on T-Man, what's going on? TG Fishing, Bill M, Sadan Smith, Backrat, Fabian, what's going on? Hopefully you guys are excited. Obviously, we normally do this Friday. Today, this week, the schedules didn't match up, but appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here, supporting the channel, supporting the show that we try to do for you guys each and every week. But yeah, Bad Dog, I mean, let's talk about Jones first and the performance he had last week against the New Orleans Saints. And just in general, the way this kid has played overall so far this year. Going into the year, myself and you have expressed we need to see more consistency. And I think all Giants fans have expressed that. And I think that's common sense, and we need to continue to see more consistency from the kid. But he's definitely looked like a different quarterback year two in the Jason Garrett scheme, adding some weapons to this offense. And so far, Daniel Jones has given you 4 performances, I think 2 okay and 2 great. He won PFF Player of the Week 2. He won NFC Offensive Player of the Week 4. And he's gone up against some pretty good defenses, or at least thought to be going into the year. The Saints had the 3rd best ranked run defense in football before that game. The Washington football team was, they haven't shown it, but they were thought to be one of the best defenses in football coming in. The Broncos are a very good defense, but Daniel Jones has put forth a really good start to this season. But I think last week in particular, which really excited New York Giants fans, he put that team on his back for the 2nd straight time this year, by the way, but this time it resulted in a win.
Yeah, and I mean, during the stream, I said Daniel Jones has had a great day. Now he's got to top it off with the W, which he hadn't done. He really hadn't, outside of maybe that game against Tampa Bay, his first ever start. He really hadn't done it, but he did. He brought us down. We tied the game up with a field goal. Graham Gano has been freaking awesome. I mean, I know he did miss a field goal in that game, but still, I mean, that's the first one he's missed in God knows how long. So, he comes up with a clutch field goal, and then Daniel Jones, the hell with 3. The Giants are like, no, he's like, no, we're not getting 3. We're ending this game right now. Went right down, scored a touchdown. And listen, man, when it comes to Daniel Jones, he had a phenomenal game. It's got to excite you as a New York Giants fan to see him throw for over 400 yards without Slayton and Shepard. Excuse me. So this is the thing, though. I'm still cautious because if anybody jumped the gun on Daniel Jones, it was me. I mean, listen, man, I don't know. People have credited me with Danny Dimes. I was one of the first people to give him that nickname. I watched him play against him. I said, oh my God, he's going to be better than Haskins, but he is. I said he's going to be better than Darnold, and he is. I said he's going to be better than Trubisky, and he is. I also said he'd be better than Dak Prescott. That hasn't happened yet. But my point is, I was really high on Daniel Jones at the beginning. Then, of course, he played bad. Then I was really low on him. So with Daniel Jones, I just want to be very even keel. I just want to see him win more games. He has been very consistent this year. He's been very good, and it's very encouraging because this was a make or break year for Daniel Jones. And I thinking about this before the show, Chris, and just thinking to myself, God, I'm not a hog guy, but God, I'm thinking just get a couple hogs for this kid. Just get him a couple. Get him Lindenbaum from Iowa. Get him Neil.
Oh my God! I was watching highlights of that kid today, Bad Dog. That guy's a monster,
dude. He's the man. I love Tyler Lindenbaum. I mean, I'm just sitting there going, God, if we just get a good line around Daniel Jones, what can he be? But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and blow him up. I'm just going to be, and I'm not going to get too low on him either. I want to be even when it comes to Daniel Jones. That's tough for me because I'm an impatient guy. I'm impatient by nature. It's not just with the Giants. My wife would tell you I'm just very impatient. I like to I'm a hustler. I want to get stuff done. I want it done fast. And that's the way I am with my teams. I want Daniel Jones to develop. I want him to develop fast. I don't want it to take 3 years. But if it has taken 3 years and he is a quarterback of the future, I'm going to be very happy with that. But that was a great performance, and hopefully he takes that momentum and that confidence. You saw a confident quarterback on Sunday. Take it into Dallas, and let's go. Let's get a huge win on Sunday. Tomorrow Sunday.
Yeah, let's go is right, man. I can't wait to talk more about it. Going to answer a couple of these chats, and then I want to circle back to the offensive line as well, which has been a bright spot for this team so far this year as well. JD, man, thank you very much. Bold prediction, defense is going to shut down Dallas. Pick 6. That is quite the bold prediction, and I will not go that far. I hope you're right and I'm wrong. I think if the Giants are going to win this game, they have to try to mask their defense. Dallas has a great offense. Our defenses look lackluster the first 4 weeks. Could it put forth a pretty good effort? Sure. I mean, going into the Seattle game, Seattle the best offense in football statistically last year, and our defense did a hell of a job. But you're asking a lot if you think this defense is going to shut down the Dallas Cowboys. The Giants, going back to Bad Dog's point about scoring 7 and not 3, you really have to have that strategy and that philosophy going into this game against the Dallas Cowboys. It's understandable if you're playing, a team that you feel is limited offensively, but if you're going against Dallas, a team that can put up points within a minute or two, and the way that they've been able to run the football and chew up clock, the New York Giants have got to try to possess the football as long as they can in this game, and one way towards doing that is trying to convert on 4th and short situations. And in this game, Joe Judge has to. I know it doesn't seem to be his nature. In this game, when you have an opportunity on 4th and 2 inside enemy territory on the other side of the 50, you got to go for it. You can't settle for 3s in this game. If the Giants are going to get out of Dallas with a win or have any opportunity to get a win, we cannot settle for field goals, man.
Completely agree. And again, Dallas is tough because they're very balanced. Like you said, they can chew up 8 minutes and score a touchdown by running the ball, and they can score in 8 seconds by throwing the ball deep to a CeeDee Lamb or an Amari Cooper or Dak Prescott can be. Their offense is very good. I think we're going to have to score at least 4 touchdowns if we're going to win this game. I would love our defense to have a signature game, come out and shut them down, but I just can't see it happening. I think if the Giants are going to win this game, they're going to have to put up at least 28, probably going to have to get into the 30s if we're going to beat this team. And to your point, Chris, not just the Giants on paper are not better than Dallas, if we're being completely honest. We're not as balanced as Dallas is, okay? So if you're going to beat a team that's an 8-point favorite, which I believe Dallas is, you have to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. You got to take chances. You can't just play this by the book. You can't play this close to the vest. You have to take some shots, because if you don't, you're going to lose. So yes, 4th and 2, you got to go for 4th and 2s, inside Dallas's 40. I'm not saying go for, we're on our own 29 and it's 4th and 1. I'm not saying go for it there, but yeah, in plus territory, you're going to have to go for it. You're going to have to take some shots down the field. You're going to have to run some trickeration, maybe with the Kadarius Toney or whatever. And on defense, you're going to have to send some guys. You can't let Dak Prescott sit back there all day. He will kill us if you let him. And at the same time, if you blitz him, you're in trouble if you don't get there. Their offense is so tough. So when I was on the roundtable the other night, somebody asked me, how would you stop him? How would you go into this game, Bad Dog, if you were going to stop Dallas? And it's tough. I don't know if there really is, but if I'm the defense coordinator, I am making a concerted effort to shut down Ezekiel Elliott. I do not want them running the ball. I do not want them controlling the clock. If Dak has to throw over 400 yards, let him. Do not let Zeke beat you, because Dak is really going to play action. If we're going to win, we have to find a way to shut the running game down. That's really the only way we're going to beat this game.
Am completely 1,000,000% with you. And I actually said that on my video, that I would rather Dak Prescott throw over 450 to 500 yards in this game than get killed by 1,000 paper cuts. Because if you allow the Dallas Cowboys to run the ball at the rate they've been running it at over the last 3 games, they've had 603 yards on the ground through their last 3 contests, averaging over 200 yards a game on the ground. If they do that, it's lights out. The game's over. Turn off the lights. The game is over. The Giants have no chance whatsoever in this game to win. I would much rather have Dak go out there and try to air out the ball for 450, 500 yards. But Dallas, the way they've been playing, they've gotten back to what they're best at, and that is relying on that strong offensive line, relying on that ground game, and setting Dak up for better, more efficient passing opportunities. And it's not going to be easy. We haven't been great against the run all year, but if I'm the Giants, man, I'm stacking the box. And if Dak is going to beat me, we get it. You got great weapons. You're a really good quarterback. You're probably going to throw for 450 yards if I stack the box and put 8 in the box the entire game. But Is there a better opportunity to create some turnovers if you're forcing Dak to have to throw the football than if they're able to just run the ball down your throat the entire game? Probably. Maybe a ball gets tipped at the line of scrimmage. Maybe it goes off one of the wide receivers' hands. I don't know. But I'd much rather lose with Dak having to throw the ball for 450 yards than Zeke being able to jam it down my throat for 200 yards. If the Cowboys do that, we're not winning this football game. It's as simple as that. The Giants have to do a much better job. And on the other side of the ball, and I'm going to get to some of these super chats, I don't want to lose them. On the other side of the ball, we've got to run the ball, Baddog.
Yes.
We've got to, and I'm not saying we got to run the ball 50 times, but we got to run the ball. You look at the opponents this year against the Dallas Cowboys, they've run the ball combined 67 times. The Philadelphia Eagles only had 3 carries with their halfbacks the entire game.
That was crazy.
Against the Dallas Cowboys. And if you go out there and you air out the ball 50 times, you're playing right into Dallas's hands. Yep. The Giants definitely need to air out the football and take some shots when there's opportunity there, but you need a balanced approach. Otherwise, your defense is just going to get destroyed.
Absolutely.
They're going to run out of gas midway through the third quarter.
We have to have some extended drives. The best way to keep Dallas from scoring is by keeping our offense on the field.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is going to have some shots to take. They're going to have to open up some holes for Saquon Barkley. I mean, the Giants, you saw the passing game, what it can do. We have to get that run game going. If we can be a balanced offense, the offense can be very dangerous. We've seen spurts of it this year. Against Washington, we scored 29 points. We kicked 5 damn field goals. We had a touchdown dropped. We had a touchdown call, but we got about 50 up on them. And you saw how good it can be against New Orleans, who's a pretty damn good defense in New Orleans. So if we can ever figure out a way to get Barkley going in the run game, I think that the offense can be really good. But the defense, like I said, stops. It goes back to the old football. I know that rules have changed. Everyone wants to throw the ball 60 times, but it all goes back to run the ball, stop the run. We do that, we have a chance in this game.
Yep, 100%. That's the way they've lived and died their last 3 games. Tyler, man, thank you very much. Hope you were doing well. Bad Dog Sooners got lucky. Yeah,
they scored 55 points. I don't know how lucky that is, but I mean, they came from behind.
Switching Rattler out
because Rattler sucks. Yeah. Caleb Williams, they've been chanting for Caleb Williams anyway. Listen, I'll be completely honest with you. I took Texas on the money line today. I didn't like Oklahoma's chances at all. And again, when they were down 28-7, I'm like, yep, that was an easy thing. And I wasn't home. I just saw it was 28-7. I was at my son's friend at a birthday party, and I taped the game, and I happened to look at the final score. I'm like, I don't know why I do this to myself. And I saw 55-48. What the hell happened? I'm like, a classic Texas OU game. So I just finished watching that before I got on.
Yeah, I saw Rattler, a guy that a lot of Giants fans were calling for at the beginning of the year. Not looking terrible. So good with that take right now.
Kennedy Brooks, though, I've been screaming for Kennedy Brooks to carry the ball more for Oklahoma. He had a big day, over 200 yards rushing for Kennedy Brooks, including the game-winning 33-yard touchdown pretty much as time expired. So we'll take it. I mean, Oklahoma ain't look great, but they're 6-0. Alabama about to lose to Texas A&M anyway.
Win's a win. Mike, man, thank you very much. The big question tomorrow, will 78 play? And yeah, that's the biggest question on every Giants fan's mind right now, and I don't have the answer. He's obviously questionable going in. He did practice throughout the week as the week went along. I think he started on Thursday and possibly today in practice. I could be wrong on that, but I know he got more reps in practice this week, but they said he was still walking relatively gingerly on his foot. And here's my thing, Mike. If he can't play at least close to 100% in this game, I don't want him out there. I don't want to risk further damaging that injury. And we need a full-go Andrew Thomas, or at least a close to full-go Andrew Thomas if he's going to be put out there. But then the question you have, if he can't play, now you're talking about either shifting Nate Solder to the left side and putting Matt Barrett at the right, or playing Matt Barrett at the left tackle and keeping Solder on the right. Either way, it spells disaster for the New York Giants. The one thing I will say, and I'm not confident, obviously, if Andrew Thomas does not play, I don't want anybody to get it twisted. I think he's been our most important player in this offense so far this year, if I'm being honest with you. But the one thing I will say is Rob Sale has done an amazing job so far with this offensive line. You know, you talk about Matt Skura, who never played the guard position, looked great last week. Even Billy Price was doing relatively well last week at the center, who had been struggling. So he's done a great job, and maybe some of these guys could really step their game up if Andrew Thomas is out. But there's no doubt about it. If Andrew Thomas does not play tomorrow, that is a huge hit for the New York Giants. Like I said, probably the most important player on this offense so far this year.
Yeah, there's no. What up, Roldy? I see Roldy's in the chat. But yeah, I mean, Andrew Thomas has been phenomenal. There's really no other way about it. You know, it's funny. I love social media. It's my favorite. You know, I put on Twitter, I said, where are all the haters in the media about Andrew Thomas now? And because, they were saying he's the worst tackle in the draft, he sucks. And then somebody puts a video that I made after week 3, and I said, I didn't call him a bust. I said, did we miss? Because he looked terrible after the 3rd week. Never said he was a bust. I never said he was terrible. I asked if we missed because he looked really bad. I didn't know I was part of the media. Can I get media credentials? I would love to be able to vote on the Hall of Fame. So I didn't know I was part of the media, but thank you for giving me that credit. I didn't realize YouTube and Twitter or whatever. I didn't realize that was the media. I had no idea I was part of it because the media would never let me have a part of them. I'm not politically correct. I'll tell you guys an idiot. I'll tell you guys sucks. They ain't putting up with that. Yeah, Andrew Thomas has been fantastic. And listen, when he got drafted, I thought he was the best tackle in the draft. He was great at Georgia. We love our Bulldogs. Bulldogs are #1 team in the country. But yeah, man, I mean, he's been awesome, and it's good to see. You want a left tackle. It's going to be there for 10 years. You want your blind side. And I think that's part of the reason Daniel Jones been so good this year, Chris, is because he has confidence in his blind side protector.
That's the biggest
It goes a long ways. So, yeah, it would suck if he missed the game. And obviously, you want him to be 100%. He probably isn't going to be. I don't know if 100% of Nate Solder at the left tackle is as good as 70% of Andrew Thomas at the left tackle. I really don't know. I guess it's pick your poison. But like you said, you don't want Andrew Thomas to get seriously hurt and have to miss a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because last year, you think about Daniel Jones, they kind of rushed him back probably a week earlier than they should have, and we'll see how they handle it tomorrow. Just want to get Horny Tane. I got it on my phone. I had to take a picture before I lost it. He says, "Yo, what's up? I'm so happy to get to see my guys, sexy men again. I feel like it's been 2 months. You guys looking good. Appreciate that, Horny Tane."
Of course,
and
we always look good.
Heriberto Rivera, man, thank you so much for being a member. He says Tony should get around 8 to 10 touches a game minimum. The kid creates plays. We'll see. Obviously he was fantastic last week. And again, much like you said about Daniel Jones, I don't want to get too carried away with Kadarius Toney. You had a fantastic game, and the kid definitely has a lot more talent than a lot of people let on. And I think he could be a very good wide receiver in the National Football League. And he definitely did not look like strictly a gadget receiver last week. Let's put it that way. But I got to see a few more games before I start to say he's the second coming of, some people are starting to say, Odell Beckham. Come on, calm down. Let's see a little bit more. He did have a drop and should have had 2. There was a penalty. He's a rookie, and I'm excited, and he looks explosive, and he definitely adds another element to this offense, and he needs to be out on the football field. Is he going to get 8 to 10 touches a game? That I don't know. I would like to see him utilized more in the backfield, though, Baddog, something we haven't seen really all year.
Yeah, get him out in space, do some things. Now, we did see the trickeration with him. Remember, he was going to throw the pass. They did have him, and he was smart because a lot of guys will get that and they'll throw it no matter what. He didn't. He took off and he got the yards that he could. The one thing, the comparison to Odell Beckham I have made, not that he's as good as Odell Beckham, but the elusiveness in the open field reminds me a lot of Odell Beckham, where Kadarius Toney is definitely a kid that you could see taking an 8-yard slant, 80 yards at a house. We haven't had that in the receiving game since Odell Beckham. But I looked at Kadarius Toney, the twitchiness, the elusiveness, the play on 3rd down and 18 spoke volumes of what he can be. Now, again, he's got to be more consistent. He's got to catch the ball. He's got to run the right routes. Like I said, he's a rookie, and that was his first really full game. But I definitely think even when Shepard and Slayton get back, I think Kadarius Toney's earned some playing time. He's got to take advantage of this, and maybe he does create some problems with Dallas. Listen, if there's a weakness on Dallas, it's their secondary, man. We got to take some damn shots at that secondary. Got to take some shots at it.
Yep, for sure. We're going to talk more about that secondary throughout the stream. Yuri, man, thank you very much. Giants have Aikman in their bulletin board. Garrett is going to unleash hell. I smell an upset since the Cowboys are on a winning. I hope you're right, man. I'm not going to come in with false expectations, and I'm not trying to jinx anything. Last week, I thought the Giants would lose. They lost. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to say the Cowboys are going to win again, and I hope I'm proven wrong. I'm not taking this Cowboys team lightly. Do I think it's a game that we're probably have a better opportunity than a lot of experts are saying? Yes. And what Aikman said should give the New York Giants a lot of bulletin board material. Like you said, he trashed on the Giants. He basically said that we're not in the Dallas Cowboys league, which, to be honest, I can't blame him for feeling that way. He's a former Cowboy. The Cowboys are 3-1. We're 1-3. And the Cowboys will look damn good doing it. But do I think we could compete with this team? I do. I honestly do believe that. Am I picking us to win? No. I think we can put up points on this team, though. This defense doesn't scare me. This defense has lived off of turnovers. That's what they've done when you look at the numbers. They've given up the 26 most yards in football. They've surrendered a touchdown 67% of the time that their opponents have reached the red zone. They give up, I think it's about 4.8 yards per carry. Their defense is susceptible to big plays. They have the fifth or sixth most missed tackles in all of the National Football League so far this year. They've created 10 turnovers. If the New York Giants do what they've done the first 4 weeks and don't turn the football over, they're going to stand a chance to compete in this football game. Make no mistake about it. That's how this Dallas Cowboys defense has done as good as they have. I do think we can move the football on them. I don't think it's as good as some people are leading on to be in terms of the Dallas Cowboys defense.
The one thing I'll say about the Cowboys defense in those stats, not outside of the missed tackles, is remember, garbage yards. Garbage yards against Philadelphia. Garbage touchdowns against Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts got about 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that game was over. So, and the same thing the last week when they played. Dallas has given up some that's why I don't like statistics. You don't know what the situation is. Dallas has let that on. But what I will say is this: Trayvon Diggs is extremely aggressive jumping routes. The Giants have got to run a couple of double moves with him, because I think he can be beat deep if you do a little, quick turn and go, a little double move, get him going, let him think he's going to jump the route, pump fake. He's jumped, and it's a touchdown. That type of stuff, that's there to be had. There's no doubt about it. They're a very aggressive secondary. You can certainly take advantage of that. But you're right, Chris. They've lived on turnovers. They can be beat. You can move the ball on them. And if we're going to win this game, we have to be the ones that create turnovers. We haven't created many this year, but if we're going to be able to beat Dallas, we're going to have that advantage. We're going to have to win that turnover battle. I'm the same with you. Mark almost wanted to bet me. I'm like, man, I'm not betting. I don't think we're going to win. I did think we were going to beat New Orleans last week. I came right out and said, hot take, we're winning the game.
Yeah.
Does that mean we can't beat them? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me, hey, I'm going to bet you straight up, no, I can't. The Giants haven't shown me enough. We could be 3-1, but the fact of the matter is we're 1-3. And Dallas is 3-1, and Dallas lost to Tampa Bay because they turned the ball over 4 times and missed field goals. They could be 4-0. We could be 3-1. They could be 4-0, and they've looked a lot better than we have. Maybe things change. Maybe Dallas has an off game. Maybe they overlook the Giants. I don't think they will, because it's an NFC East game. But if we can get out of there with a win, I don't care how we do it, it's going to change the complexion of the NFC East, and it's going to change the complexion of the Giants' entire season. So this is a massive game. You go to 2-3, you're 1-1 in the division, you're game behind Dallas, and you're on the tiebreaker, or you're 1-4 and you're 0-2 in the division, and you're probably looking at next year already.
Yep. Great call. Paul, man, thank you very much. Says all the money we spent this offseason needs to show up and show out this week in order to win. For sure. Galladay, Galladay.
Leonard Williams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Leonard Williams.
Show up.
Adore Jackson, I thought, has played pretty well. Obviously, he had the big drop to interception. But you're absolutely right, man. We got to step up, man. These players got to step up. Logan Ryan, all these guys got to step up. Gideon, man, thank you very much. Troy Aikman, True Colors give us an advantage. Trust Judge has that quote in the locker room. He said he does. Of course he does. Of course he does. Joe Judge is using that as bulletin.
Joe Judge lies his ass off. I mean, we know that.
Yeah, of course, my man. And I'm going to get back to some of these super chats. I took pictures in case I miss them. Will, man, thank you very much. It's time for the defense to step up, period. You're 1,000% right. The defense needs to play much better. Big Blue in the Bronx says, need to contain Dak. Actually, let me go to the picture because I'm about to lose it. Sorry about that, guys. Big Blue in the Bronx says, need to contain Dak. Don't think that will get there. Pressure isn't enough. The game that made Jarwin in 2018 was all about Dak escaping the pocket. Yeah, good call. Don't let him extend plays. If you're not going to get there, at least don't let him extend plays with his legs and give them big play opportunities down the field. Listen, it's not going to be easy. We know the Dallas Cowboys are going to put up points on us tomorrow, Bad Dog. It's just a matter of, are we going to be able to keep up, and is our offense going to be able to keep our defense somewhat well rested by sustaining longer drives?
Yep,
that's our best defense tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
And Matthew, man, thank you very much. If we do beat y'all, I just hope our fans are cool. I'm a diehard 20-year-old Cowboy fan, and I like you and Chris a lot, and don't want y'all to hate us anymore.
Well, Matthew, I'm not going to hate you anymore. I can't hate you any more than I do already.
Yeah, I hate Dallas. Matthew, let me tell you something right now. I will never fault the Dallas Cowboys fan for hating myself and Bad Dog or hating the New York Giants in general, because I'm going to be honest with you, like I always am on my channel, and I love all the respect that I get from all the Eagles fans, Cowboys fans that come on my channel, they watch the content. I can't stand your football team. And I smile ear to ear when the Dallas Cowboys have an L. So by no means am I going to get on Dallas Cowboys fans for being happy if they beat down the New York Giants tomorrow.
Of course not. Of course not. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be happy, you kicker. You're supposed to talk a little trash. That's what the NFC East is all about. You know, we haven't been able to talk a lot of trash. We've just been straight trash. So hopefully things turn around. Like I said, maybe that game against New Orleans gives them life. I'm not comparing us to 2007. That team won a Super Bowl, but that game against Washington, it was the third game of the season. We were 0-2. We were down 17-0 at the half. They had a goal line stand at the end of the game. They ended up winning that game. They ended up winning their next 5 in a row. I'm not saying that's what this team is going to do, but there was a big shift in momentum. So hopefully Giants can ride that crest of momentum. Like I said, I saw a very confident quarterback on Sunday. I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen Daniel Jones confident like that. That was a guy. That was the first time I could look at Daniel Jones and say, this guy's got confidence in every throw. He's got confidence in his offensive line. He's got confidence in his receivers. And he threw everything with conviction. And I've been screaming for that for a long time. I want to see him do that every game. I want to see, even if we lose, and Daniel Jones plays like that again, like he did against New Orleans, I won't be happy that we lost, but I'll be very happy for Daniel Jones that he really does look like he's starting to come into his own.
I'm going to tell you. First, let me read this before I lose it. MY Giants 26, man, thank you very much. How we doing? Let's get a win tomorrow, please. Yes, please, MY Giants 26. I'm going to tell you why Daniel Jones, at least in my opinion, has looked more confident this year. Second year in the scheme.
Andrew Thomas.
Andrew Thomas is 1,000,000% the biggest reason why he's looked ultra confident so far this year. When you have a blindside protector and you notice his pocket awareness has gotten better, he's been able to, but it's because he doesn't got to worry about his blind side. You know, when if he could see the pressure coming his way off Nate Solder's side, that's a different story. If you got to constantly worry about a guy destroying your backside each and every time you drop back, it's another story. So Andrew Thomas has a lot to do with, I think, Daniel Jones's confidence and ability to stand back in the pocket, let the play develop, scan the field more. In the past, he probably felt like, listen, I got to go to my first read, otherwise I'm going to get killed. And hopefully Andrew Thomas can play tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't ever, if you're a guy, you don't ever want your backside to get destroyed. You don't ever want that. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I could.
At least we don't. I can't speak for everybody in the chat. I can't speak for everybody in the chat, Baddog, but at least we don't.
I couldn't resist. But yes, I mean, Andrew Thomas obviously has a lot to do with it. And again, that's why you draft a left tackle 4th overall, so that you do protect your young quarterback, so that he does have confidence to sit back there and know he's not going to get killed, you know, and fumble the ball, which was happening to him a lot as rookies. What happened to Eli at the end of his career because of Eric Flowers. So yeah, Andrew Thomas is a big reason that he succeeded, and hopefully he continues to succeed. Hopefully he continues to take steps forward. But he looked really good in New Orleans, and again, this is why I get so critical of Daniel Jones, because I see that performance, and since day one, when, you know, obviously not the draft night, but since I really started paying attention to him, I know that that's there, and I'm just waiting for it, and maybe this is the game. I mean, that's all we can hope for. Like I said, if we lose 34-31 and Daniel Jones has another big game, you got to be happy for Daniel Jones.
For sure. And that's the most important thing. Obviously, we want to win a Super Bowl every year, but that's the most important thing this season.
Yeah.
Benjamin, thank you very much. He says, I will root for y'all tomorrow. Of course not next week, man. We got you guys next week.
It's gonna be that's a tough one.
We'll worry about you next week, Benjamin. Right now we got the Cowboys, but we appreciate all the support we could get.
Yeah. Definitely.
Amid, what's going on, buddy? He says, hey guys, did you say your Rosemary, the way they boost up the Cowboys this week as the 2007 field Patriots versus Giants? Feel we know how that ended. I love the optimism of Amid. And listen, man, the way I'm going into this game, and I'm sure Baddog has a similar mindset, is we got nothing to lose. Of course, we want to get to 2 and 3, but in terms of our expectations going into the game, nobody is giving the New York Giants a fighting chance in this game. We're on the road. We're in Dallas. They're 3-1. They've won 3 straight. They've looked good doing it. You've heard nothing but the media trash the New York Giants all week. And the way I look at it is I'm going to go into this game with those expectations. I'm going to go in saying to myself, obviously, I want to win. Obviously, I think we have a chance to win if we play near perfect football, because I will say Dallas has played near perfect football so far this year. They are +7 in the turnover differential. That is a +30 turnover differential pace. That will not keep up. They've been damn near perfect in terms of the way that they've orchestrated the football, both offensively and defensively so far this year. I think they've reached like their maximum potential. So I don't expect that to continue, but everybody's writing the Giants off this week, and I can't blame people for doing it based off the way we've looked and based off the way they've looked. And I want people to doubt us, and hopefully the New York Giants make a lot of people look like fools.
Yeah, I see my girl Batgirl in here. I know she's at Longhorns fans. I know that'd be tough for Texas fans. They had that game in the bag, and Oklahoma came back to win. But so I forgot to mention this. So I'm doing the thing with Mark Holmes, and I'm superstitious. So Jesus will be here again. We'll bring Jesus over. We'll bring Jesus. We're number 56. Mark Holmes turns 56 tomorrow. I told him, you're done. You're turning 56? That's Lawrence Taylor's number. Come on, baby. I said, that's bad mojo for you, Mark. He turns 56. I'm wearing 56, bringing Jesus over and eating the same breakfast. I had an acai bowl last Sunday. We're doing everything the same. Everything the same. Gotcha.
Roldy,
and
man,
the blue hat will be here.
Roldy says, Christopher, my guy, how are you? I'm doing good, man. Went to Comic-Con for a couple days. Had a lot of fun. Back talking New York Giants football with you guys. Always love doing that with you. And thank you to everybody for being here. Baddog, my brother from another, what up?
Life. Rolly, wife, kids. You get it.
Tony needs more stats, and he's a playmaker. I hope he can just give us half of what OBJ gave us because he ain't my dude, OBJ. Of course, he's not OBJ. Anybody who's saying he's OBJ is crazy. We need to see a lot more from him before even it starts to approach that conversation in terms of being an overall talent to OBJ.
I think the elusiveness in the open field, the big play capability is that Odell Beckham had that. But just, come on, man. We can't be comparing them right now.
But he does bring a different element to this wide receiving core, and I do think he's a guy that you could look for in this game, Baddog, to potentially have a big game for the Giants. Obviously with the way that Diggs is played, you figure he's going to be locked up on Golladay, and maybe the Giants use Golladay as a decoy. Maybe they throw up 50-50 balls, but don't expect them to shower him with targets based off the way that Diggs has played so far this year. I expect them to try to attack the other side of the field and try to attack the middle of the field, and probably, if it's me, Tony for sure, but also Barkley in the passing game. I try to get him lined up in mismatches against those linebackers and pick on them in the passing game, similar to what they were able to do last week. You've seen Barkley get more implemented into the passing game the last 2 weeks for the Giants. I want to continue to see that. And Dallas has a very aggressive defense. And I try to get them to overcommit and try to use that read option with Daniel Jones because I think that could create some big plays.
Good. That's a good call. By the way, I'm just looking at the game. Alabama blocks a punt for a touchdown. A&M returns the ensuing kickoff for a touchdown. It's pretty crazy. This game's pretty crazy. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think like I said, I think the Giants have to use their aggressiveness against them. I would like to see some double moves by the wide receivers, a little pump fake. But, you mentioned Barkley in the receiving game, and I think, Chris, now that he's getting closer to 100%, maybe he's there, maybe he's not quite there yet. But you've seen the last 2 weeks, they really have gotten him more involved in the pass game. Of course, he had the big 54-yard touchdown pass down the sideline that got us back in the game because we were down 21-10. And then we got that big touchdown, the 2-point conversion. We're right back in the game. So, yeah, I expect to see Saquon Barkley out there, especially if they can't give him some holes to run through to get the running game going. Sometimes that's just an extension of the run if you can get him out there in the flat and on screens or maybe a little quick in route or quick out route just to get him out, get him the ball out in space. But I think the Giants have made a concerted effort the last 2 weeks to get him the ball. I like him running a wheel route because most of the time you're going to get him lined up on a linebacker or safety, and they're not going to cover him. I expect to see Saquon Barkley involved in the pass game, and we'll see what Kadarius Toney does. I expect Garrett to use some different things. The last time we saw Garrett really be tricky was against Dallas. He wants to beat Dallas.
Fake field goal. That was probably more Judge than Garrett, but the fake field goal, we remember that.
Of course, the refs gave that one to Dallas. We scored, and they took it back.
Yeah. We need to see that aggression from Judge again, though.
Yep.
Dave, man, thank you very much. Evening, gents. Missed you guys this week. Can't wait for tomorrow. Do you think the Cowgirls had a chance to scheme against Tony and our offense? I mean, listen, the Cowboys defense has been good, but like I said, I think they've been built mainly around creating turnovers. Do I think they could continue at that pace? No. I think if you're being a Cowboys fan and you expect that to continue, you're not being realistic. They've been great in terms of creating turnovers. If the Giants are going to win, if they win the turnover battle, they stand a chance. Dallas has dominated in that statistic. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys come out with. But what I will say, if we come out with a proper game plan offensively, if our offensive line can hold blocks, which is a huge if, because we don't even know if Andrew Thomas is going to play in this game or not, I do think there's mismatches to be had in that defense. Their second cornerback's a complete liability. Their linebackers, to me, cannot match up with who's ever playing the tight end. Well, Ingram, if he could hold on to the football, and Barkley coming out of the backfield. I do think that Tony could eat in the slot. So I think there's mismatches to be had. Obviously, you got to respect Diggs. I expect the Cowboys to come out with a good game plan, though. Dan Quinn so far has done a great job for the Cowboys in terms of being able to mask some of their deficiencies on defense by being aggressive, creating turnovers, and relying on his playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. And I think an even bigger way to combat that, like we've been saying, you got to run the ball more than some of these other teams have. I mean, 7 carries again so far this year against the Cowboys. That's 16 carries a game. That's not going to do it, bad dog. The Cowboys have been running double their opposition. And by doing that, you're going to wear down your defense, and your offense is going to become more predictable. So I think the Giants have to do a good job of mixing the run and the pass, and they got to be able to establish a ground game at some point early in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think part of the reason that teams haven't run against Dallas is because they've gotten behind so quick.
Yep.
And when you're down 14-0, 17-0, 21-0, 28-7, 28-10, you do have a tendency to get away from the run really quick. Now, I don't know what Sirianni's game plan was. I mean, if you're the Eagles, you do not want to get in a shootout with Dallas, especially in Miles Sanders, maybe outside of Devontae Smith, is your best offensive player. Why you wouldn't get him involved, why you wouldn't run the ball with him more, why you wouldn't use Jalen Hurts' legs more was beyond me, especially when you have a mobile quarterback. And that's really, again, when you have a really good offense on the other side and your defense is questionable, the best way to do it is by keeping their offense off the field. That's by running the ball. That's by resting your defense. I mean, obviously, if you can't run it, it's different, but you have to stick with it. You can't have 6 carries and a half against Dallas. You don't want to get in a shootout with Dallas. You're not going to win. So if you can keep them off the field, if you can wear down their defense, and you're in the game in the fourth quarter, and you can sustain a drive, that's how you're going to beat this team.
Yeah, and we have to find a way to create a turnover or two on defense. MG, Matt, thank you very much. Giants key to victory, mistake-free football. Cowboys defense only strength is their takeaway differential. Remove that and solid shot at a win. I kind of agree with you. That's much easier said than done, though, right? The Dallas Cowboys have created the second most turnovers in the National Football League. Some of that definitely goes to their defensive coordinator and the playmakers on that defense. You got to tip your cap there. We've done a much better job in terms of not turning the ball over. We've only turned it over 3 times. One was the Daniel Jones fumble week 1, the Evan Ingram fumble, and the Daniel Jones pick before halftime. So really only 2 turnovers by the Giants so far this year. So that is one area we've been great at. We need to continue that in this game if we expect to win, and our defense needs to get much better in terms of creating turnovers. Zahai, Matt, thank you very much. What's up, fellas? So every turnover has a story, right? So looking back at DJ's turnovers, you guys think that narrative about him was overblown by everyone except for the New York Giants? Can't wait for tomorrow. Let's get it. Go Big Blue. I'll answer that first. I think at first it was not overblown. I think it was a severe problem for Daniel Jones in his rookie year. As a matter of fact, he should have had more turnovers than what he had in his rookie year. Yeah, I think he had 23 turnovers, and he had a lot of dropped interceptions. He was lucky that he didn't have more turnovers. What I will say, if you look back over the second half of last year, so far this year, you're talking about a 10-game sample size for a quarterback who has about 30 starts, so about a third of his career. The guys have turned the ball over. The guys had, I think, 5 turnovers over that span. One was an interception off of both of Evan Ingram's hands. The other was the interception last week that shouldn't have even counted.
Oh, and then Hail Mary.
Fumbles, one of which probably wasn't his fault. So as his career has progressed, he has not warranted that reputation more. So I'll say that.
Yeah, I completely agree. He has definitely cleaned that up. And of course, like I said, Eagle fans will dirty foot. It's just so stupid. I mean, so many people that do this don't pay attention to football. I mean, obviously he's done a much better job of cleaning that up. And like Chris said, the only interception he has is a Hail Mary at the end of the half. So it looks like an interception, but anybody that watch a game knows, again, this is where stats can be misleading. He didn't throw an interception in a big spot. He didn't throw a pick 6. He was throwing a Hail Mary from, behind the 50-yard line. And more often than not, those are going to get intercepted. They do count as interceptions, just like the touchdown would have counted. But again, you have to look at the situation sometimes with these turnovers, and that didn't hurt the Giants whatsoever. I mean, but yeah, he's done a much better job of holding on to the ball. He's been much better awareness in the – you're seeing him get better week in and week out. Which is exactly what you want. Again, this is his 3rd year, and I know Chris and I and many other Giants fans have said this is the year. He's going to do it this year, or he's not the guy. So far through the first quarter of the season, I would say he's definitely been more good than bad. He's certainly not the reason we are 1-3. And like I said, I would love to see him have another signature game against Dallas and come out of there with a win.
Yeah, and I think he can. At least have a signature game. I think the win's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Caitlin, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And she says, oh, the Giants aren't winning. Let's be real. Caitlin,
Well, you both picked Dallas to win, so I think we're being real.
You're getting us depressed. But Caitlin, I am being real. I am picking Dallas. But what I will say is I never go to I don't care who we're playing. I never go into any game with no hope. It's the NFL.
No, of course. We can absolutely beat them.
Every week you see the score, you say, how the hell did that team beat that team? You know, and as John said, we should know that better than anybody when we took down the New England Patriots. But all you got to do is look at the scoreboards last week. I can tell you right now, there's at least 2 games probably you point to and you say, there's no way I thought they were going to beat them. It's a divisional opponent. Cowboys maybe come in, take us a little bit for granted, and maybe we do play a really good football game. Maybe we have something to build off of that Saints performance. I'm not picking us. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I never go into any game with no hope, and I do think this New York Giants team is going to play a competitive game. I think we'll have an opportunity if the offensive line can block. We'll see if Andrew Thomas plays, but I think we could have an opportunity if we play smart football and come out with a pretty good game plan to at least have a chance in this game to win.
Yeah, like I said, it's a divisional game. I think the Giants' defense is better than the Eagles' defense, and I think that the Giants' offense is better than the Eagles' offense. So I think that they can definitely compete with Dallas. Again, the Giants have to play a perfect game. I mean, the Giants can't make mistakes and beat Dallas. That's a fact. So if we can play mistake-free football, maybe cause a couple turnovers, that's how we're going to beat them. But they can be beat. They're not unbeatable. They're not – actually, nobody's unbeatable because we beat the unbeatable team. I know it was many years ago, but shit, nobody's unbeatable. Dallas is not a juggernaut. There are weaknesses. That their offense is very good and their defense is better than we thought it would be. But that defense is still – it can be had.
The other thing I will say, though, Bad Dog, and we talk about how good that ground game has been, that's another thing that has assisted their defense. When you can run the ball for 600 yards over 3 games, it's going to make your defense look a lot better because they're not on the field nearly as much.
Exactly.
Which goes back to why we need to do everything in our power to stop that ground. I'm not saying stop it, but not get killed.
Contain it. Got to contain it.
Got to contain that run game. You know they're going to get their yards, but we cannot get destroyed in terms of 200 yards against in the run game. Chase, man, thank you very much. Been saying it since he committed. Caleb Williams needs to start. Boomer sooner. Rattler. We'll see you later.
Listen, Chase, if Caleb Williams didn't earn a starting spot after today's performance against Texas, I don't know when he's going to earn it. I'll tell you that 4th and 1 where it looked like he was stopped, that was the game. And then he took off for 66 yards in that touchdown. Caleb Williams is a freshman, but he looks a lot more confident. Spencer Rattler is rattled all the time. He really regressed. I think Caleb Williams is a much better. Caleb Williams is more. No, he's not Kyler Murray, but he's definitely more mobile than Spencer Rattler. The offensive line has not been great for Oklahoma this year. They definitely need a guy. He also has a stronger arm than Rattler. So, yeah, I think Caleb Williams should start the rest of the season. We'll see what they do. Spencer Rattler did come in on the 2-point conversion. Maybe they do. Maybe they start mixing the quarterbacks up. I don't know. All I know is that was a big win against Texas. It saved our season.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch the game, but I know you guys had a huge comeback today.
Yeah.
Will Jay says, Dallas, I think he meant to say Dallas's defense is an elite. Oh, Dallas Cowboys, yeah. Is an elite. It's just timely. Diggs is a gambler and can be had on the outside. Our defense misses those timely plays a lot. Yeah, but I think that's their defensive strategy, Will Jay, and I don't know that. I'm not a Cowboys fan. But I think that's their defensive strategy. I think they're going into the year saying to themselves, we know we have deficiencies on the defensive side of the ball, but we also know that we have an offense that could allow us to gamble, and that's going to be our equalizer. We're going to find ways to create turnovers, and they've done a great job doing it. But like you said, they will gamble, and there will be opportunities for big plays. The New York Giants got to be smart. Maybe you have 1 turnover, but you can't have 3, 4 turnovers in this game if you expect to win. You got to be smart. You still got to take your shots when you feel like they're there. But Dallas will give us some opportunities. There's no doubt about it on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think there's plays there to be had. The offense just has to execute, and they got to give Daniel Jones time in the pocket to throw. So I think if they give him time, I think if there's a clean pocket and Daniel Jones shows that confidence he showed against New Orleans, I definitely think we can put up points against Dallas. The question is, can we put up more than Dallas? I don't think the Dallas is going to shut us down. I don't think the Giants are going to score 13 points, 17 points. I think the Giants are going to at least get in the 20s. But will that be enough? Hopefully the Giants get in the 30s and we can pull this out. And I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm more excited to see what Daniel Jones does after this performance against New Orleans. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh God, he's a top 10 guy. He's the franchise guy now. Because like I said, I made that mistake his rookie season, but I definitely think he can build off of it, and I just want to see what he does tomorrow. I think it's very important for Daniel Jones as a player in his development that he has a really good game against Dallas.
Yeah, and hopefully he does. He played good against them last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can continue to do that. Roldy, man, thank you very much for your information. This for the real conservative Giants fans. Don't try to run Tony out of town like you all did OBJ because he wasn't the conservative player you guys were used to. Let the man be himself. Let him block it. Let him be. I'm not even gonna get into that, Roldy. I listen, man. If the guy produces wins, my only thing with OBJ that I didn't like has nothing to do with his person. I mean, I not my ideal personality, but for me, I don't like me first guys, and that was the vibe that I got with Odell Beckham. I mean, I obviously saw, and I do not want to turn this into an Odell Beckham show because now I know the Odell Beckham daggers are going to come out. I'm not talking about Odell Beckham, but that was my only issue with him in terms of his personality. He came across as a me first guy to me, not a team guy. I haven't gotten that vibe with Tony at all so far this year. I haven't gotten that with him at all so far this year. Maybe I thought that some of his comments towards the media were probably not the smartest of ideas before he had even stepped foot on a football field, mocking the media and everything else. But it is what it is. If he produces, I'm not going to say a damn thing as long as he's not throwing his teammates under the bus.
Right. Speaking of, it kind of brings you to another point, though, conservative player. What are the Giants doing with Isaiah Wilson? Is it possible he plays? Is he on the roster? Like, he's on the roster, right? Is it possible that if Thomas can't, that they move shoulder to left?
They called somebody else up. I can't remember the guy's name. They called somebody else. Yeah, they didn't call him up.
I mean, again, you never know. I mean, this kid was a first-round pick. He's had a lot of problems. He's dealt with a lot of issues, but everybody deserves a second chance. Maybe just getting him on another team, maybe giving him a fresh start. Maybe he can be the player that, they thought he was when they drafted him. So I was just curious. I didn't know what his status was with the New York Giants.
Yeah. I think we'll talk about him more in a second. I just don't want to lose these. Damian says, if we win, I told the show, if we lose, I jump ship. Well, then you're not a Giants fan. You stay with the Giants, win, lose, or draw. Period. End of story. Bill, man, thank you very much. Sup, boys? Do either of you think any of our position groups are playing better than the Cowboys right now? Praying for a W, but hating this matchup. Let me think about that. Offensive line, no. Deep. I mean, it's hard for me to say. No, I mean, our defense has been underwhelming. So, no, I cannot say that right now. I can tell you that I think we're maybe on par in a few positions.
Our field goal kicker's better.
Yeah. But I cannot conclusively say that we're better in any position so far this year. Do I think our secondary is better? Yes. But they have not proven to do so far this year. Their linebacking core is definitely better. Their defensive line, probably better. They're a better football team. They're a better football team. We have to find a way to go in there and get a win, but they're a better football team.
That's right. Graham the Togano, baby.
And I hope I didn't miss anybody. I don't think I did. V-Man, thank you very much. Hey, guys, let's see New York City football have another week of excellence. Jets will crush the Falcons. That's right. You guys play at 9 o'clock tomorrow in London. Will the Giants eke out a win versus the Cowboys? Hey, good luck to you guys tomorrow, man. I always root for the Jets when they're not playing the Giants. You guys had a big win last week against the Titans. And hopefully you guys find a way to get another win. I think you definitely got a shot against Atlanta. Atlanta's not scaring anybody.
I don't know if I would say crush. I don't think the Jets are crushing anybody. But with no Calvin Ridley, no Gage, I definitely think the Jets can beat the Falcons. But I wouldn't say they're going to crush the Falcons.
I don't think if you're a Jet fan.
They're going to win. I don't know. Crushing to me is beating somebody by more than 2 touchdowns. I don't see the Jets doing that to anybody this year.
And neither, same thing with us.
We're not.
I just want to find a way to get a win. At this point, I don't care what the score is. And Bobby, man, thank you so much for being a member. He says, hi, Chris and Baddog, my friends. Let's go Giants. With everybody in the chat, say hi to Bobby. What's up, Bobby?
Bobby!
Danny, man, thank you very much. I think DJ needs to get a clean pocket consistently. No turnovers, run the ball, throw the deep ball, and get creative with play calling on this offense.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's easier said than done. You're going up against a team that's created the second most turnovers, and we'll see if there's a clean pocket if Andrew Thomas is not playing. That's going to be a huge, huge challenge in this game. But, of course, you want the clean pocket. You want to be able to throw the ball down the field deep. But if you can't block, you're not going to be able to do that. Andrew Thomas, whether or not he's going to be himself, is going to have a lot to do with his success in this football game. You need that blindside protector. I don't trust Nate Solder. Do you? So I agree that we need to be aggressive. But at the same time, if Solder's playing the left tackle, you have to realize that they're probably going to have to change their game plan a little bit. So Andrew Thomas being in or out is going to change a lot in terms of the offensive game plan going into this game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Andrew Thomas, a lot of things are going to hinge on Andrew Thomas. I mean, the offense is going to hinge on the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. And if we're going to score points, it's going to come down to the offensive line and the ability, like Chris said, to extend drives, to run the ball, to have Daniel Jones take some shots. So, you can definitely use an aggressive defenses. You can use your aggression against them. And again, that's with misdirections. That's with double moves on the outside. And again, you're gonna have to give Daniel Jones time because those patterns take a while to run. But if they do, Dallas's defense can be in for a long day. Dallas's defense is not great by any means. They are an opportunative defense, but they're not a team that's going to shut you down and not allow you to move the ball. Chris, I got to hit the head. This is what happens when you drink coffee before this. I had a long day. So let me hit the head real quick. I'll be right back.
I'll talk to the chat, man. You go get your coffee. Deona Jackson, or you hit the head rather. Deona Jackson, thank you very much. I think the Giants fans are underestimating the rest of the Dallas defense. It's always during the games where the fans find out about the other playmaker. I am not. I think your defense has talent. I have a lot of respect for your play caller, but I do think there's holes in your defense. And we'll see if the New York Giants are able to take advantage of it. I don't think you're going to lead the league in turnovers defensively. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'll be wrong at the end of the year. But is your defense better than I thought they would be? Absolutely. And that's why I think you're by far the favorite right now to win the NFC East. So I'm not taking Dallas for granted. You guys should win this game. Do I think the Giants stand a chance? Sure. They need a lot of things to go their way. They got to play near mistake-free football. They have to be able to establish a run. A lot of things that are easier said than done. And they can't be scared of trying to create big plays. Richard, man, thank you very much. Hello, guys. Good luck tomorrow. If we make y'all offense one-dimensional, take away the run, can Daniel Jones beat us? That's a golden question. Here's what I'll say, Richard. If Daniel Jones has time to throw the football, which is a huge if, because we don't know if Andrew Thomas is going to be able to play, I think he can beat your defense. I'm not saying he can beat your football team because I don't know if our defense could stop your offense. Matter of fact, I would say going in, we probably can't. But do I think that Daniel Jones could have a good game against your team, even if you stop the run, if we could block? Yeah, but the one thing I will say, if we become a predictable offense, it's going to be much harder for Daniel Jones to be able to throw the football accordingly. Do I think he can put up numbers against your defense? Yeah, but that's not the way I want to beat you. If you ask me right now, what would I prefer? 230 to 250 yards for Jones with 2 passing touchdowns, but we could establish the run and we have 25 to 30 carries and we have a balanced offense in this game. I'm taking the latter because I want to have a balanced time of possession battle. I want to keep our defense relatively fresh, and I want to be able to run the football, which makes our offense more efficient when we're throwing it. If Daniel Jones has to drop back and you guys know we're throwing it each and every time, obviously we're going to be more prone to turnovers and a much more predictable offense.
The one thing I can say is I think we were one-dimensional against New Orleans, and
yes,
he was able to tear that defense up. And that defense is better than Dallas's. And
we were one-dimensional against Washington.
Right. In the Superdome, the Superdome is a very loud place. But again, if we're unable to run the ball at Saquon Barkley, you might have to utilize Daniel Jones's legs at some point during this game. Again, I don't want Daniel Jones, being vulnerable. I don't want him running 10 times, but I wouldn't mind a couple of read options or RPOs, and just to kind of get Dallas's aggression. Again, the aggressive defense can be had in those types of plays, those delays, those misdirections, the draws, the double moves. So there are things that the Giants can do offensively, especially if you get a guy. You got to get your playmakers the ball in space. You got to get Kadarius Toney the ball. You got to get Saquon Barkley the ball. And again, Daniel Jones is a playmaker too. Sometimes you might have to get him the ball out in space. You might have to roll him out. Although that was weird to see how good he's been from the pocket and how poor he's been outside the pocket this year, because it seemed like he was better outside the pocket. This year, it's been completely the opposite. So we'll see. I think Jason Garrett will have something special for Dallas. I do. But yeah, if we're going to win, I mean, it's got to be pretty balanced. I don't think Daniel Jones can drop back and throw it 55 times. Not because I don't think that we can score, that Daniel Jones can succeed. But like Chris said, we don't want to get in a shootout with Dallas, and we don't want you guys pounding the ball down our throat, 7-8 minute drives, touchdown. We have the ball for 2 minutes and score a touchdown, because at the end of the game, that's going to catch up with us. So we need to be more balanced. Like Chris said, the time possession has to be pretty close. Otherwise, if it's one-sided, Dallas is going to kick the hell out of us in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, which is not going to be easy to do. And what I think one thing we have learned about this Giants offense is they've struggled mightily in the red zone. And when they've put up points, it's been on big plays. You think about the touchdowns that Daniel Jones has thrown this year. The first one to Shepard was for about 35 yards. Should have had the touchdown to Slayton and went through his arms. He had the couple of big touchdowns. He had the John Ross touchdown, which was a long throw. The Saquon
two
Barkley
50-yard touchdowns against New Orleans.
Yeah, so we have not operated well in the red zone, and we have not been an offense that has been able to have those meticulous drives this year, mainly due to the fact that we have not been able to get a consistent running game going.
But our last drive was that drive. Meticulous drive finished in the red zone.
And we did do a really good job of getting Saquon Barkley involved in that drive, mainly in the passing game. And John Ross had a couple big passes. And hopefully we could continue to do that. But that's much easier said than done for us to be able to have long, meticulous drives against this defense. But we have to try to. I'm not saying that it's got to be 10-minute drives, but we've got to be able to try to establish the run. Of course, if we're at midfield and there's an opportunity for a big play, you go for it, man. Yep. That's where our offense has thrived so far this year. But at the same time, you cannot be allergic to running the football, especially against a team like Dallas, man. You got to try to keep that defense as fresh as you can.
Yep, completely agree.
So, hi, man. Thank you very much. I think they ran OBJ out because he was such a this generation. High maintenance attention seeker. It affected the culture, especially with it is what it is, man. And I honestly am done talking about OBJ. He hasn't been a Giant now for 4 years. I'm done talking about OBJ personally. It is what it is. Me and Baddog agree on this. We think the main reason why is, and people in the chat, I'm sure that love OBJ are going to be talking about it, but the main reason why is because I think the Giants were worried how he would affect a young quarterback with Daniel Jones based on the way that he reacted with Eli Manning later in his career.
Yep.
I think that was the main reason. Maybe you agree with that. Maybe you don't. It is what it is. He's not a Giant. He's not going to be a Giant, and he's not here. Shadow Man, thank you very much. Listen, Tony is quite the catch, okay? He's got the elusiveness and the ability to run after the catch. He falls forward like a running back. Yeah, when I saw him on film, Baddog, that is the one thing that always stood out to me. He's almost, and it was the same thing with Rondale Moore, actually. The two wide receivers that really stood out to me in the draft, when I watched them on film, I was like, these guys are, like he just said, they're like running backs after they have the ball in their hands, how elusive they are. He's got by no means am I comparing them to him, but he has like that Saquon Barkley quality. When he's out in open space, he can make guys miss and create big plays, and that's what Tony brings to the table, and it's something that we haven't had, quite frankly, at the wide receiver position since we lost Odell Beckham, a guy that could create something out of nothing, and I think that's what Tony definitely brings to the table.
Yeah, and I mean, Tony had a lot of yards rushing at Florida. They definitely lined him up in the back. I think he had over 600 yards rushing at Florida, so obviously he does have that running back quality. We did see him run, like you said, we did see him, in the backfield a couple of times against New Orleans, and it'll be interesting to see how Jason Garrett and company use him going forward, especially in this game. He's going to have to be an integral part of what we do, especially with Slayton and Shepard not playing. Same thing with John Ross. I mean, John Ross's speed is a massive weapon. You have a bunch of different type of receivers. Kadarius Toney can run. I mean, he's a fast guy. But he is your elusive, twitchy, breaking tackles, making plays, out in the open field, making guys miss. John Ross is your guy that's just going to run right by your defense and give you a really deep threat. And then you got Kenny Galladay, who's like a Plaxico Burress, where he can go up and catch the ball. He's a possession receiver, but he can also give you a big play now and again. So the Giants' offense, their three receivers are totally different skill sets. And then, of course, you got a running back in the backfield that can do almost anything. He can catch, he can run by you, he can make you miss. I mean, he can do all three of them. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm anxious to see what the Giants offense is this week against Dallas. Can it build on what it did in the fourth quarter and overtime against New Orleans? Or does it revert back to what it was against Atlanta, where it can move the ball between the 20s and not finish? So we'll see. But I think that Daniel Jones, a company that I feel like they should be confident in their abilities to score. And I think that we're going to have to score early. You don't want to get down early because you don't want to get in a shootout with Dallas. So We'll see. Let
me ask you, going into the game, Baddog, and I'm sure I'll probably forget this and ask you again before the game tomorrow. But you want the ball to start, or you want Dallas to have the ball?
I want it.
You want the ball?
I want the ball to start.
Get off that.
I want the best. You want to put your best unit. And I never thought I'd be saying that, but so far this year, I have, it's ridiculous, but I have more confidence in the offense, defense right now. Especially if we're playing a different opponent, Chris, I probably would go with the defense, but it's Dallas. And I want to have the ability to go up early. Like, I want the Giants to get out to a lead. I would hate the defense to get out there, Dallas go right down and score a touchdown. So I'd rather start with the ball.
I'm with you. And generally, we're in complete agreement on this. Generally, I'm the other way. Generally, I want to kick off, but against Dallas, I don't want to put my offense in a hole. If I can, I want to get off to that early lead, like you said. That way, our second offensive possession, you're either tied or you're not playing from behind quite yet. I want to be able to lay that first punch and take a little bit of the pressure off the defense. Maybe then you could play a little bit more aggressive defensively if you feel like you have a lead. Try to send some blitzes. Try to create some turnovers. If the Dallas Cowboys start with the ball, they go down for a touchdown. Now you're putting all that pressure on your offense because you know you're going to have to keep up with this game throughout this game to have a chance. So I'm with you, man. And if we get the ball, obviously we got to go down there and put some points on the board to start the game. But I'm with you, man. Usually I'm the other way around. But in this game against a team like Dallas, I think I'd prefer to start with the football, especially the way our defense has played so far this year.
Yep, completely agree.
And New York for life, man. Thank you very much. I love my light-skinned Hispanic women, but if the Giants win, I'm going to ask this white girl with a Jay Leno chin out on a date, laying it all out there. Well, best of luck to that. Wow. That's got to be hard to kiss her, man. Jay Leno had a huge chin, man.
Well, you don't kiss the chin. You kiss the
chin
lips.
can get in the way. What if it hits your neck?
Listen, if my wife can kiss me with the big schnoz on my face, you can find a way. You can find a way. The one thing I'll say about the YOLO, that's incorrect. I've never understood people that say you only live once. That is so wrong. You live every day. You only die once. You can't die more than once. You die once. You live every day. You only die once. That's totally wrong.
And maybe if you believe in reincarnation, you might.
Yeah, well, that's not a fact. There's no proven fact to that. But you do. You live every day. Every day you wake up, you're living. So you live every day, but you die once. That philosophy of you only live once is completely wrong. Completely wrong.
That's a good way to look at it. Amid, man, thank you so much for being a member for how long does it say? 21 months, man. Thank you so much. Hey guys, and chance of getting LT and Strand to play tomorrow. I'm a nervous wreck. Where are we going to get our pass rush from? Listen, man, we haven't gotten a pass rush all year, and I think it's going to struggle tomorrow. I'd be lying to you if I thought otherwise. And I hope Baddog and myself and you are both pleasantly surprised tomorrow. But the way this offensive line has looked, and Dak's a smart quarterback, he's going to get the ball out quick. It's going to be very tough to generate a pass rush tomorrow for the New York Giants. They're gonna have to be smart, man. In the way and when they decide to blitz, they're gonna have to do a good job. In terms of designing their coverages to try to fool Dak and the Dallas offense. But it will not be easy, man. They're gonna have to disguise their coverages. That's the word that I was looking for. Pretty well. I thought they did a pretty good job of that in the Atlanta Falcons game, but it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be really tough for the defense tomorrow. And I think we know that as Giants fans, a huge key to this game, we're going to have to do what we did last year, and we're going to have to bend but not break. Yeah. Defensively, we were the second best red zone defense in football last year, and I know Dallas is going to get their touchdowns bad, though, but we've got to find a way to keep them out of the red zone, end zone, rather, at least a couple of times when they make those trips and hold them to field goals. But I do not expect an exquisite defensive performance going up against this Dallas Cowboys.
No, I think that we're going to we need our guy Aziz Ojulari to come through, man. The Giants got to send some pressure. We're not getting there with 4. And again, I understand that if you blitz stack, you're taking a big chance with those receivers in man coverage. But when you're not as good as a team on paper, or you're looking at the two teams, and Dallas is definitely the better team right now, you have to take those chances, because if you just sit back on your hands, Dak is going to kill you anyway. So you might as well take a chance. Maybe you get there. Maybe you force a fumble. Maybe you force a bad pass, or his arm gets hit. He throws a floater and you pick it off. But if you can't get there with your front 3 or your front 4, and he's got 6 seconds back there to throw, he's going to kill us no matter what. So I'm not saying blitz him every time, but we're going to have to bring pressure. We're going to have to shoot linebackers to the B gap. We're going to have to do something to get some pressure on him now and again. Yep.
And it all starts with stopping the run.
Absolutely.
Not even, again, containing the run, because we're not stopping. Containing their run. And at least get, like last week, we got them into a lot of 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s, and we were able to get off the field more often than not, at least to start the game. Same thing against Dallas. I'm not even saying get them in the 3rd and 8s, because I know that's going to be really tough. Get them into those 3rd and 3s. Give your defense an opportunity to get off the field on 3rd down, and that starts with limiting the run. That's where it starts, and it starts at least if we're going to have any kind of success on defense this week against Dallas.
The problem with 3rd and short with Dallas is there's a lot of things they can do. You got Dak, number one. I mean, he can run. But Tony Pollard is very dangerous out of the backfield. That is a guy that guy, I mean, listen, Dallas is really good. Pretty much they all worry me, but that Tony Pollard coming out of the backfield,
he's explosive.
He scares me. He is much faster than Ezekiel Elliott. He has a totally different skill set, but again, he's really good catching the ball. So this is a guy the Giants have really got to be aware of, and they got to try to figure out a way to stop Tony Pollard on things like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, because that's something that Dallas does well too. So we'll see.
Of course you want to get him in third.
It's not easy. There's no stopping that team.
They got a top 5 offense. We know that.
They do.
We knew that before the year started.
Yeah.
The question was their defense, and so far their defense has been better than people thought.
Yeah.
So hopefully we make that defense look worse this week. JC, man, thank you very much. Would you be okay with Dave Gettleman stepping down after this season, and would you be okay with Judge controlling the draft? I'm going to say, right, again, it's way too early for me to comment on Gettleman yet. I got to see the rest of this season, but of course, right now I'd be okay with it. This team needs to look much better before I'm back on board with Gettleman getting another year, and we'll see. If this offense looks great and they have a strong finish and maybe they win 8 games, I might feel completely differently than I do now, but let's get there first before I make that judgment. As far as Judge, man, here's what I'll say, JC. What credentials does Joe Judge have? Say we win 6 games, 7 games, we fire Gettleman. Why in the world would I give Joe Judge the key to the franchise? What has he done to earn that? And I love Joe Judge, and I want Joe Judge to be the long-term answer, and I like the type of coach he is. I thought that we needed that type of head coach, but what does this guy bring to the table that said, if I'm the owner of the New York Giants, where I could say, yeah, I want that guy to be my GM and my head coach? What has he done to earn that in the NFL? He hasn't. So my answer to you is absolutely not. Now, if Judge was the guy that I want to be my long-term answer as the head coach, yeah, of course I want to bring in a GM that I think could work with him well. But by no means am I turning over the keys to the franchise to Joe Judge at the end of the year if I make a GM change.
Yeah, like you just said, what credentials does Joe Judge have? Make you think he knows how to scout talent, draft players, and make trades and all this stuff? No, I'd rather have a guy with some experience. Like Chris said, if you're going to keep Joe Judge on, you want a guy that probably takes Joe Judge's input and listens to it when it comes to bringing players to the New York Giants. But yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to give a 40-year-old special teams coordinator who's been a head coach 2 years in the league. And if Gettleman's fired, obviously Judge hadn't had a winning season in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm not ready to give Joe Judge the keys to the Ferrari just yet. It's like giving a 17-year-old, they just got their license. They've had it for 6 months. You say, here you go drive my Ferrari. Probably not happening. You're going to drive the Pimpmobile that I do, that Nissan Rogue, until you get to learn the ins and outs of the road and the idiots on the road.
There's not many coaches. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to do research, but there's not many coaches that have that. I know
a lot of times coaches want that, and that's how they get fired.
Yeah. So I would say no. I would say there's really no circumstance where I would want Joe Judge to have complete control of this football team next year. Chizola, man, thank you very much. I think John Ross will be an X factor in this game. He definitely could be. We're talking about a lot of the other guys. John Ross was great. John Ross, the boss. He was great for the Giants this past week. And, you kind of forget about him because all the excitement was with Golladay having his first 100-yard game. And obviously Tony and Barkley had a mega game. But John Ross had the huge touchdown pass, and he had 2 huge catches on that overtime drive for the New York Giants. And, yeah, I could definitely see him being a big factor in this game. The only thing I worry about with Ross long-term is can the guy stay healthy? The guy's a walking, talking injury. But, Ross looked damn good for the Giants last week, and I see no reason not to try to involve him more so this week, especially when you're around midfield. I think that's where Ross is a real weapon at that 50-yard line when you could really take a deep shot towards the end zone. That's his strength. I'd like to see him involved this week for sure.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Baddog, now that I'm thinking about it, because I haven't talked a lot about Ross, you think about how poor the second cornerback is for the Dallas Cowboys. You figure Tony's going to be lined up in the slot. No Slayton this week. Ross may have a big game against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, John Ross gives the Giants an element that they really haven't had, and that is straight on blazing track fast speed. And that's what he is. He is a speed, like just flat out, he's going, he runs right by you. And that makes him very dangerous because when a cornerback has to give him cushion, that's when you can sit there and do those little, 10 to 15-yard outs, those comeback routes. And get first downs. That's what he did on that last drive because he beat them deep early in the game. So they gave him a cushion. He just did those little 10, 12-yard comeback routes. Giants were able to move the chains. He definitely, like I said, I like the three receivers that we have because they all have different skill sets. And, I think that it could definitely cause a problem for Dallas secondary. John Ross definitely makes them worry about, hey, this guy can run right by me, which means they might have to play a safety over the top, which means that allows Kadarius Toney more space to work in the middle. Maybe even, I hate Evan Ingram. I'm done with Evan Ingram, but maybe the tight ends have a big game for that reason too. John Ross can open up a lot of things in the middle of the field because the safety's got to be wary that he can run right by both of them, really. So we'll see, but I like John Ross definitely made a huge impact his first game with the New York Giants, as did Kadarius Toney. Well, Kadarius Toney's first real foray into getting a lot of snaps.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I want to shout out Baddog real quick. If my mods could drop the link to his channel, we're going to be live here tomorrow for the game. Next week, we'll be doing this show and the game on his channel. Appreciate everybody for being here. If you guys subscribe to my channel, you probably know Baddog, but in case you're new, maybe you just started watching the show tonight, Baddog Sports. If my mods could drop his link in the chat, I appreciate it. Going over there, check him out. We'll be over there next week. Peter, man, thank you very much. Baddog, Rattler, did Rattler play his last game for Oklahoma today?
No, I think Rattler will play. I don't know if he'll start. And if he does, Peter, he's going to be on a short leash. I mean, Caleb Williams did a thing of legends today, especially in the Red River Shootout. And that's right. I'm calling it the Red River Shootout. I'm not calling it the Red River Rivalry. That's not what it is. It's the Red River Shootout. When you make an impact like that, when you're getting killed by Texas and you come in and you lead Oklahoma back with 25 points in the fourth quarter to win. Yeah, I think Caleb will, and the crowd wanted Caleb Williams. And I think you see what kind of talent that kid is. But I don't think Rattler's played his last game. He did come in for the 2-point conversion later in the game. So I think Rattler will play. I just don't know. Caleb Williams is going to get more time. I think that's a fact.
Yeah, supposedly, I didn't watch it, but supposedly he looked really good today. Andrew, man, thank you so much for being a member. 18 months. He says, I know it's only October, but assuming we stick with Danny, which direction would you want to see us go with both first-round picks in the draft? And yeah, Andrew, I get asked this question a lot. I'm sure Bad Dog does as well. And it's very hard for me to tell you right now because I don't know how the rest of this team is going to look like throughout the rest of the year. But one thing I could tell you certainly, Andrew, regardless of how good this offensive line looks for the rest of the year, I am going to want them to select a first-round offensive lineman. I could almost 100% concretely tell you that right now. And I would say edge rusher right now. The other thing I will say, I think we definitely could use another middle linebacker. You don't know how Blake Martinez is going to respond off the injury. You also don't know if he's going to be here long-term. So, but I would say edge and offensive line for sure for me are the two biggest needs right now for this football team. And, but obviously you also got to take into account best player available, right? You always try to match the two if you can in the first round. And if there's a player that knocks your socks off, you have to take that into account. But right now, I would say edge and offensive line, whether it be the right tackle, whether it be the interior offensive line, are our biggest needs right now for this football team.
Tyler Lindenbaum, man. I'm all about that kid. So I give us a center. Don't know what Nick Gates is going to do. Billy Price has been less than impressive. If Nick Gates does come back, you can move him back to his natural position, which is guard. But Tyler Lindenbaum, I want, like I said, I think Daniel Jones, unless he really falls off a cliff, has earned another year here. I don't think that this quarterback class is extremely weak. The two quarterbacks you thought were going to be really good, Rattler and Howell, have not been. I know a lot of people like Corral out of Ole Miss. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter because he'd be walking in the same situation Daniel Jones is with the makeshift offensive line. You got a franchise quarterback. You think Daniel Jones is your guy. Put the pieces around him. Build that offensive line. We need to build in the trenches. The Giants are weak on both sides in the trenches. I'm fine with one or the other. I'm fine with two offensive linemen. I'm not even an offensive lineman guy, but watching what Daniel Jones did with a clean pocket makes me think, okay, now I'm giddy. Now Daniel Jones is performing really giddy, and I said, let's protect him. Let's get him some linemen.
People don't like to think about it because it's fun to watch the wide receivers. It's fun to watch the running backs. But you watched that game last week, and obviously everybody's excited about Toney. Everybody's excited about Golladay. Go back, watch the film. Why do you think Golladay did what he did? Why do you think Toney did what he did? Why do you think Jones did what he did? Look at the performance by the offensive line, and you're absolutely right. As a Giants fan watching that, I don't know how you could watch that and be like, oh, my God, imagine if Rob Sale actually had talent. He has Billy Price on this offensive line, who was a throwaway from the Bengals. He's got Matt Skura, who we picked up because he was cut. He's got Will Hernandez, who may or may not be back with the team next year, and he's got Nate Solder, who retired from football last year due to COVID, and he's back, and he's like 35 years old. So, and he hasn't played on the right side since his rookie season. So I don't know how you can watch that performance and see what the offense could look like when the offensive line could block and be like, yeah, I don't want to take an offensive line.
Imagine an offensive line that opened holes for Saquon Barkley.
Oh my God, dude. They've got to go offensive line early next year, in my opinion, at least. I know everybody's got their own opinions, but obviously edge rusher as well, and interior defensive tackle. I think we could use maybe in the third round area as well. But I would go O-line 1. I'd go edge 2 right now. Zahai, Matt, thank you very much. What's up with Leo? Listen, I think he's a very good player, but he's obviously not lived up to it. He's definitely not earning that money. There's no doubt about it. And I do think Dalvin Tomlinson leaving definitely has something to do with it. Just like I thought if he left and we kept Tomlinson probably wouldn't have performed as well. I think they helped each other out. When you got talent on your defense, you think back to his days with the Jets. Leonard Williams' best year with the Jets is when he had 2 really good members on that defensive line, and that certainly helps you. So I think that has something to do with it, and we're going to need Leonard Williams to play much better this year if this defense is going to improve. If he continues to play at the rate that he has, and he's been okay. He's gotten some interior pressure. He's been okay, but he's been nowhere near worth that kind of contract. And if he does not take a step up, this defense will continue to underperform this year.
Leonard Williams is showing up tomorrow. Hot take.
I sure hope so.
Hot take. Leonard Williams has more than 1 sack tomorrow. Hot take.
Like it. He's due. He's due, man. Steven Evans. He says, do you think JPP would come back to retire with the Giants when that day comes?
No.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He did win a Super Bowl here, but
he won a Super Bowl with Tampa, too.
He did, yeah. He won a Super Bowl with Tampa as well, and he's probably going to end up playing more time. How many years did he play here? He played here for
7, right? For 8 years. I don't think he'll come back and retire.
I don't think so either, if I had to guess. He's not like a guy. He's not like Justin Tuck. Tuck was a guy that played pretty much his entire career here.
He played one season
after he left the Giants. So I would lean no. Shadow Man, thank you very much. I think we should have picked up Jalen. We didn't.
No. Jalen Smith was no good with Dallas, and he got a massive contract. We couldn't afford the cap hit.
Well, I didn't get to see that because I was away. What did he get? What did Green Bay pay him?
I don't agree. Dallas picked up a portion of it, but he was making like $9 million. They gave him a big contract. And Jalen Smith hadn't been good in 2 years. Jalen Smith got benched. That just would not. He would not have fit the New York Giants. And again, we can't with the Giants cap space the way it is. You can't take luxuries on a $9 million linebacker. At least I think that's it. Dallas did pick up a piece of this.
They picked up. I think they picked up the majority of it. But
maybe they did. But still, he's going forward. I'm pretty sure he's still under contract. He just wasn't any good. He's 26. He had the massive ankle, the leg problem coming out of college, which hurt his draft stock.
Yeah.
I didn't play his entire rookie season. And Dallas fans said that he really wasn't explosive anymore. This is why he got benched. And that's why Dallas fans didn't care that he left. They figured they got Micah Parsons. They don't need Jalen Smith. I don't think Jalen Smith would have fit with us. We have a bunch of mediocre linebackers. I don't think Jalen Smith is a difference maker, especially with the money that he's getting.
Yeah, that was my take on it, regardless of what the money is. And I don't think I have to look into this. I don't think Green Bay's paying him much, but first off, would he want to come here, right? If I'm Jalen Smith, I'm already getting my money by Dallas, and he had an offer, obviously, by Green Bay, and say the New York Giants came with an offer. Would he rather play for a team that could compete to win a Super Bowl, or would he rather come to the New York Giants? Let's be honest with ourselves. If we're Jalen Smith, we want to go to Green Bay. So he probably wouldn't have wanted to come here even if we wanted him, based on the fact that Green Bay has a much better opportunity for him to compete and win a championship this year. But like you said, man, he's a body. We definitely could use some linebacker help with Blake Martinez out for the year. By no means would I have been upset if we brought him in, but do I view him as a difference maker at this point in his career? No. There's a reason that Dallas drafted a linebacker this year. There's a reason that Dallas decided to move on. He's not the player that he was a couple of years ago, probably due mainly to the fact that he's had injuries. So I would have welcomed him. We definitely could have used some help in terms of our linebacker department, but I don't view him as a guy that would have been a significant difference maker for the New York Giants.
Yep.
And let's see what we got here. Will, man, thank you very much. Every year we never have a pass rush. I don't get it. Last year, I think we were like 10th in sacks, but I mean, listen, we know our edge rushers are not great. And the way this defense creates pressure is through scheme. And so far this year, Patrick Graham has not come up with great game plans throughout most of these games. We tried to get a lot of pressure week 1. We blitzed a ton against Denver. Teddy Bridgewater made us pay. We were very passive week 2. Week 3, it seemed like we dropped back in coverage a lot, but we did a good job in terms of disguising our coverage, but we weren't very aggressive. We don't have a dominant edge rusher on this team, and we're not going to get consistent pressure on this team unless our defensive line just manhandles the opposition. And I don't see that happening against Dallas in terms of their offensive line. So I don't see us getting a ton of interior pressure. I hope Baddog's right with his Leonard Williams prediction, but I personally don't see that. And the only way we're going to be able to get pressure is if we're blitzing and we're confusing our opponent. And so far this year, the defense just hasn't been able to do that. They have not been able to rely on their coverage. You know, as much as I've tried to credit the coverage, because I do think the coverage has been better the last 3 weeks, I mean, we are a holding penalty away from giving up a 50-yard touchdown this past week, where they completely destroyed us, and they give up that huge passing play to start the third quarter. So the secondary still has not been great, and Grant probably feels like he can't put these corners on an island the way he might want to and be as aggressive as he would like to be, based off the way that they played so far this year as well. And for this defense to get a consistent pass rush, you have got to be able to blitz.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to see the Giants do more is bring Ojulari off the edge. He's extremely explosive. He's very fast. I mean, he's incredibly athletic. He's got 3 sacks in the year. I think the Giants need to use him more as an edge rusher. I think the Giants got to bring him. Let him go after the quarterback. I mean, that's his game anyway. The kid's got a ton of talent. Let him use it. You know, I'm not saying that he's Lawrence Taylor, but the Giants used to blitz Lawrence Taylor all the time. They always brought Lawrence Taylor off the edge. Now, he ain't LT, but let him play like LT. Then bring the kid all the time. Third passing downs, bring his ass all the time. You know, don't let Dak sit back there and drop into soft zone coverage on 3rd down and 4 and rush 3 and drop 8. Bring Ojulari off one of the edges and see if he can get there. What do you got to lose in this game? Nothing.
Yeah, I'm with you this week, man. I would rather go down and try to blitz Dak and try to create turnovers than just sit back and let them pick us apart with the run game and everything else in this game. And he probably will. He's a good quarterback. They've got great weapons, but it's kind of pick your poison against this Dallas team. And I would rather be aggressive and really try to stack the box and stop the run. And when there's an opportunity to blitz, I'd like to be aggressive this week against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Benjamin, thank you very much. Tina, did you see the 350 pounds? Oh, you always see hogs, man. It's America. There's tons of hogs, my man.
You're everywhere.
It's one of the most obese country. It is the most obese country in the world, and we like to eat. So yes, there's plenty of hogs. B-Wee, man, thank you very much. Good luck, fellows. Saquon is back, and your I think you meant to say your quarterback can play. It can be a good game. I just never felt that confident in my Cowboys since we were winning Super Bowls. It feels different this year. What I'll say, and I hate your Cowboys, B-Wee, but if I'm going to be honest, and I said this the last couple of weeks about the Cowboys, last couple of years rather, I thought the Cowboys the last couple of years have gotten away from what they did best, and that is run the hell out of the football. I thought when you brought in your new offensive coordinator, you got too pass happy with Dak Prescott when he threw for like 5,500 yards, and this year you've gotten back to that. And as a Giants fan, that scares me more so than anything else. People are going to talk about the passing game, and I know you guys got great wide receivers, and Dak could throw the football, right? But to me, when you guys could run the ball at the rate that you've been running it, that's what makes your team dangerous. Because when you could run the ball for 200 yards, you could beat any team in the National Football League if you could run it as easily as you guys have been able to run over the last 3 weeks. And we'll see if that's consistent and sustainable throughout the year. But that's certainly something that if I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be very excited about, because you guys have not been able to do that consistently for the last couple of years.
Dallas's best year since they drafted Dak Prescott was Dak's rookie season. Why? Because Ezekiel Elliott led the league in rushing. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott had like 1,600 yards on the ground. He also, I believe, led the league in rushing in 2018 when you guys, I believe the Cowboys made the playoffs and won a playoff game that year. So obviously that's been very big for Dallas. They were 13-3 in 2016. They lost 2 games to us, which is surprising. But we had a really good.
You know why though? Is because
we stopped the run. I mean, that
Snacks
was
Harrison was great in that game, and Janoris Jenkins did a great job as well.
Yeah, the second game I think Zeke had like 20 yards rushing. I mean, that was why. But when Dallas is at their best, they are running the ball. And it certainly helps to have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the outside because, again, defense has got to worry about that passing game, which opens up the run. That's why Dallas is really good. They're very balanced, but everything's predicated off the run, and Dak Prescott's been one of the best quarterbacks and play-action passes since he came into the league. When you're able to get your big guys up front, you're getting 6-7 yards at a clip, and you're just wearing down defenses, and then they get conscious of the run, and they do everything they can to stop, and then Dak just sticks it in there, pulls it out of there, and then throws the ball deep down the field. I mean, stick it in, pull it out. Yeah, that was dirty, but you know what I'm saying? when they're running play-action pass, you're in trouble if you're able to run the ball. If you can't run the ball, that's not effective. So, yeah, I agree with Chris. I mean, Dallas is best when they're running. And
Yeah, I mean,
they've
they've
got
got
back
back
to
to
running the
that this
ball.
year, and I thought they were gonna. I really did. I thought they were gonna get back to that this year because I think it helps mask your defense. I really do. I think when you have when you're able to run the ball in which you got the method in which you guys have been able to do over the last 3 weeks, it makes your defense better than what it really is. And I think that helps your defense. It keeps them rested. It puts them in better spots. So I think that's been part of the reason why your defense has looked as good as it has so far this year. And as a Giants fan, it's why I keep saying to Bad Dog and why Bad Dog agrees with me. It's what we've said throughout the stream. If we're gonna have any chance in this game, man, we got to find a way to at least limit your run, because that makes your defense better. It makes your entire team better. It makes your passing game better, and you guys are lethal when you're able to run the ball at the rate that you have been so far this year. Matthew, thank you very much. Our cornerback 2 has been playing quite well. So I don't get to watch every Dallas game. I watched the game against the Eagles. I watched the game against the Bucks. He got cooked against Antonio Brown and the Bucks. Obviously, that's Antonio Brown. But if there is a weakness to your defense, I think you would agree with me that it's certainly your cornerback 2. That's probably the spot on the field where the New York Giants have to try to attack you guys. And also in terms of your linebackers in coverage, I think we could try to exploit them as well with Saquon Barkley, with our tight ends out in terms of the passing game. So we'll see if we could do it. But if there's a weakness, I think that is the weakness to your defense, would be your cornerback 2 and your linebackers in coverage.
Yeah, the Giants got to attack the middle of the field. And again, I think John Ross's speed can certainly help that because – again, there's always a possibility that he runs past you, and you might have to have the safety over the top, So we'll see. But I mean, the Giants, the receivers are playmakers, and the quarterback proved that he could be a playmaker as well. And that's another thing that Daniel Jones definitely can run. I mean, the Giants can do a lot of things on offense. Are they as good as Dallas? No. And the reason they're not as good as Dallas offensively is Daniel Jones isn't Dak yet. I still think Daniel Jones can be better than I'm not going to pull off of that one. I've been saying that since his rookie. So I still think Daniel Jones by the end of his career, maybe he will be better. But right now, the offensive line's a difference. If you're asking me talent-wise, I'm still going to take Saquon over Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's a more talented guy. I think Dallas's receivers are more talented, but I think the Giants have a very good wide receiving corps. But the difference is Dallas's offensive line is fantastic. And ours, it's not fantastic. We'll just put it that way. They played better against New Orleans.
Yeah.
But I think the Giants offense can be very formidable. If they could ever be balanced like Dallas, where we could run like Dallas does, then I think the Giants offense can be extremely dangerous too. I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. Do I pick the Giants to win outright? No. But I think they can cover the 8 points.
Yeah, I don't think there was actually, I mentioned in my video this week, a crazy stat. I forgot where I saw it. The Giants in their last 26 road games, and obviously this is when they've been horrible. That's over their last 3 years, basically. In their last 26 road games, they are 20-6 against the spread. And in their last 5 NFC East games, they are 5-0 against the spread. Yeah. So the Giants, as bad as we've been, recently on the road specifically, the Giants have done a good job in terms of doing better than what Vegas thinks they're going to do. So I'm with you, man. I do think this week the Giants stand a lot of it comes down to Andrew Thomas for me. And if not Andrew Thomas, how Matt Parrott does in replacing Andrew Thomas. But if that offensive line could at least give Daniel Jones some time to operate. But I do think the Giants have an opportunity to keep this game closer than a lot of people may think. I'm in agreement with you on that. Joey D, thank you very much. Hey guys, I know it's still early, but do you think we might draft a tight end in this upcoming draft? And if so, I have not done a ton of research in terms of the tight ends in this year's draft, but what I will say is 100%. And not early. I do not want to draft a tight end in the first round. I probably don't want to draft a tight end in the second round, but do I, because I just think there's more holes on this team that are more important. Like I look at Caden Smith as a guy that could step in and be serviceable. You're still going to have Rudolph more than likely on contract. So yeah, if there's a tight end they really like, I could definitely see them drafting a tight end. But I just feel like there's bigger needs on this team that I would rather draft in the early rounds. Maybe if you really like one in the third round, maybe you go out there and do it. Maybe if you really like one in the second round. But for me, Bad Dog, and like we said earlier, it's the trenches first for this team before I start to worry about a tight end.
I can't think of the kid's name from Georgia. He's a really good tight end. I don't know where he's going to go in the draft. For the life of me, I watched a damn Georgia game today, and I cannot think of that kid's name. But he's really good. But again, I'm not touching a tight end to like the third round. The Giants need to build they need to build on the line of scrimmage, on both sides of the ball. So tight ends, at some point I think they will, because I don't think Ingram's coming back here, and Rudolph, who knows what he's going to be. going forward. So I think it's a position that we're going to need, but I don't think it's, something they need immediately. I think there's definitely bigger needs for this team than tight end. But the kid from Georgia is really good, and I can't think of his name. Real quick, I saw then puts him in the chat, and he's absolutely right. Daniel Jones finally finding chemistry. And Daniel Jones, people are saying that he's improving and that he's looked really good and he's the franchise. And everybody wants to kill Jason Garrett. And I don't understand this because he's improving because of Jason Garrett. He's not
listen.
In spite of Jason Garrett. There's a reason. You got to give Garrett a little credit.
I completely agree with
you. You can't fall. You can't be like, oh, Daniel Jones is great. Jason Garrett sucks. Just like last year, everybody made an excuse. Daniel Jones don't have this. Daniel Jones don't have that. Daniel Jones don't have that. I'm like, Jason Garrett don't have it either.
Listen, when you're going to make, and I was for making the change after 0-3 with Garrett because I just viewed it as like the only change we could make, because you're not changing the GM at that point, whatever. But I never used Jason Garrett as a punching bag. I never used him as even the main reason why this team was struggling. I thought he was part of the reason for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his offensive game, his offensive play calling is not very good. There's no doubt at times it's not very good. But here's what I'm going to say: if you're going to use Jason Garrett as a punching bag week after week after week after week and make him out to be the main culprit why this team struggles, when the offense looks good, you got to give him credit. For all the people that destroy him week to week, you got to give him credit. You got to give him some credit. And the offense to me has looked pretty good 2 weeks so far this year. And to me, for everybody that uses Jason Garrett as the main scapegoat of why this team sucks as much as they do, Patrick Graham deserves a lot of the venom. And I don't
Joe Judge.
And Joe Judge deserves a ton
Which is where my venom's gone this year.
Yeah, he's the head coach, but I don't see enough in terms of focusing on the defense. The defense has been by far the more underwhelming part of this team so far this year.
Somebody said Darnell Washington's not the tight end I'm thinking of that plays at Georgia. That's not who I'm thinking of. But again, I don't think Jason Garrett can be the entire scapegoat. Again, Joe Judge has gotten my venom. The funny thing is, remember before the year started, everyone's like, who is going to get the first rant from Baddog? Who's going to get it? And people are like, it's Daniel Jones. It's Kadarius Toney. It's somebody put on the video, they go, never thought it'd be Joe Judge. Joe Judge didn't have Joe Judge for the first rant that Baddog had. It was Joe Judge.
I don't think anybody thought that.
He was the first guy. Yeah, and I didn't even think about that when I went after him. I was so pissed that he threw that challenge for. I was so mad at that.
Yeah, man, Joe Judge so far this year, even, and it worked out, and I always got to say, man, if I'm going to be critical, I got to give credit when it works out. Even though I question his decision-making, it worked out. The defense did the job. They got off the field twice. Yeah. They gave the offense the opportunity to win. Do I think it was still super questionable what he did last week? And would I have done it if I was a coach? No, especially the 4th and 1. Yeah. And I'm going to go back to that play, Baddog. If you know you're going to kick the field goal on 4th and 1, why not run it on 3rd and 1?
Yeah, I said the same thing.
It's not like it's 3rd and 3. It's 3rd and 1.
I agree.
You've had Eli Penny twice this year in the same game, run it up the gut, I think, on 3rd and 1 and pick up the first down easily. Give your team an opportunity to pick up that first down by running the football. If it's me, I'm running the football twice on 3rd and 1. If you can't get 1 yard on 2 plays in the NFL running the football, you don't deserve to win the game. Period. End of story. So I would have went for it on the 4th and 1. But if I wasn't going to go for it, if I knew I wasn't going to go for it, I would have ran it on 3rd and 1.
That's why when they threw it, I said obviously that play was because they're going to go for it on 4th down. I was just as shocked as you. I said, they threw it. It's 4 down territory. Because why else are you throwing a deep shot and down 1?
And it was the same thing the week before.
What's that?
It was the same thing the week before.
It's strange. Because I'm like, well, they must be going for it if they're throwing it. But 3rd down and 1, I would run it with somebody, whether that's Penny, whether it's Barkley, whether it's Daniel Jones. The only two scripted runs we saw for Daniel Jones, he scrambled some, but the only thing we've seen was on the 2-point conversions. The last 2 weeks, it's been. Oh no, he had the rushing touchdown again. No, that was against Washington. So the last 2 weeks, just like the straight quarterback draw. The last couple of weeks, but I think he's got to get a little bit. Well, maybe not. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm anxious to see how the offense does. They should have a really good feeling going to this game. The last 3 possessions, they scored 17 points. And they drove down the field with relative ease. So we'll see. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, this offense is going to put up 41. But I definitely think the Giants can score tomorrow. I definitely think that they can get some points.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Duncan says, goal line and reestablish our routes of run the ball down your throat and big shots to tall receivers. God, I miss Plex, Toomer, and Shockey. Duncan, yeah, I mean, listen, I listen, I am always, Bad Dog knows that I'm a hog molly guy. I am always going to favor taking the offensive line when I feel like we need to take one. I've been watching Giants football for way too long and seeing a subpar offensive line, but yeah, I'm completely with you, man. We got to be able to establish the run much easier than we've been able to do this year. And, hopefully getting a better, some more talent on this line will help us do that in the future. But right now I'm thinking about this year, and based off of last week's performance, I think the offensive line, if Thomas is healthy, could have a pretty good game this week against the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Yep.
Richard, man, thank you very much. Packers paid vet minimum. Dallas is paying most of the yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think the Packers paid much at all, Richard. And I knew that Dallas ate the majority of that contract. So, and you guys ate, I think, like $6.8 million next year. You guys
that's a lot.
Yeah, it saved them some money.
But regardless, he didn't fit here.
Yeah, to me, I would have been okay. I would have been happy if they got him, just as a depth guy and a veteran guy, and he's known to be a leader. But do I think he's going to make a big difference? No, he's like, he's a guy that could step in and maybe give you serviceable middle linebacker play. But you kind of already got that with Reggie Ragland. I thought Reggie Ragland looked pretty good this past week.
Right.
No one given the opportunity to step in and play the position. I don't know how much of an upgrade he is over him at this point in his career. Maybe he is a slight upgrade. I wouldn't have been upset if they brought him in at all. But I don't know, man. I don't think it was going to make or break our defense.
I don't either. Alabama came back to take the lead in this one.
I figured they would. Man.
Freaking Nick Saban's amazing, man.
Oh, he's the best coach in college football for a long time.
Amazing.
Will J, man, thank you very much. We literally could have had Sweat and Young. How many sacks does Chase Young have?
He has as many as you and I do.
Oh, wow.
Just as many. Last year, looked like it was bad. This year, Andrew Thomas way better than Chase Young. Way better.
Yeah.
Washington's defense is trash.
And we couldn't have, by the way,
Buffalo. They should have gave a 50 to us.
By the way, we couldn't have had Chase Young. We weren't picking second. And you can't say that the team they didn't lose. So we never had the opportunity to take Chase Young. But right now, Will, I mean, if you ask me, if I'm being honest as a Giants fan, I think what this offensive line would look like without Andrew Thomas had we taken Chase Young. And obviously on draft night, I would have loved Chase Young. He was the best player in the draft by all accounts, was known to be a generational edge rusher. But based off the production he's given so far this year, and I know the PFF metrics say he's great in terms of getting pressure and he faced a lot of double teams, he's got 0 sacks through a quarter of the season. 0. And I think about what this offensive line would look like without Andrew Thomas. And right now I'm saying I'm kind of glad we got Andrew Thomas. I missed out on Chase Young.
Yep.
Yeah. And Musab, man, thank you very much. I need somewhere to vent. I despise the Dodgers, man.
They won today?
Yeah, I'm not watching. I know the Dodgers, and I missed somebody. I'm going to get back to it on the phone, though. But I know the Dodgers were down 1-0 against the Giants. I guess they
lost. Giants won last night, but let's see.
And Mike, man, thank you very much. We will miss 54 tomorrow. 78's foot is the one he had surgery on in the offseason. This, unfortunately, seems chronic. I mean, I don't know, Mike. Hopefully that won't be the case. I don't know the severity of the injury. And hopefully we get more, we'll see how he plays tomorrow. But obviously, he played on a hurt foot all of last year, and hopefully it's something that doesn't hamper him. But what I will say, Mike, is if they feel like it's something that he needs to take a break, as fans, we need to realize that. And we need to give him an opportunity to sit a game out, and we can't force him. If it's going to take him a week to get back into playing form, I don't want him out there tomorrow. If they feel like he can't further damage the injury and he could play through it, and they feel like he could play close to 100%, by all means, put him out there. But I don't want him to force him out there tomorrow and something that could further damage that foot. And this could be a thing that lingers all year. So the Giants have to play it smart tomorrow. That's for sure with Andrew Thomas. Yeah,
sometimes, I mean, it sucks because obviously, the Dodgers are up 6-1. It sucks because, sometimes you got to lose the battle to win the war. Problem is, if we lose tomorrow, the war is kind of over too. So it sucks, but you really don't want to sacrifice Andrew Thomas and get the kid hurt and have a miss, 3 or 4 games, because then we're really in trouble. And not only that, it stunts his development. And obviously he'd have to come back from that. And he's just starting to find his groove. So yeah, I think you got to be cautious with Andrew Thomas. There's no doubt about it. He's very important for the future of this team. Even if Daniel Jones isn't the quarterback, he's important for whoever is. Yeah. So at this point, Daniel Jones is coming back next year. There's not a doubt.
I'd be shocked if he's
so he's going to be a big part of the offense. And if you can get some guys around Andrew Thomas, some guys like my boy Lyndon Mom, yeah. He's very important. He's had a very good year. It's very encouraging because we need him, and he's been awesome.
Yeah, he's been awesome. But again, and hopefully that's not something that lingers. It is the same foot, like he said, and hopefully responds tomorrow. He's able to play, and he's 100%. And it's not something we got to worry about all year. And we'll see. I know he was limping throughout the week. He was able to practice, I think, on Thursday. And if he could play through it, and they feel like he can't further damage it, I'm sure they'll let him play through it. But we'll see tomorrow, man. Zig, man, thank you very much. We might win because Vegas is going to lose money. Vegas never loses money. Some way, shape, or form, Vegas always wins. That's how they stay in business. But I hope they're underestimating the Giants again, right? I mean, I gave you that stat on the road. The Giants have been very good. They've covered 20 out of the last 26 times on the road. And hopefully that'll be the case tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas could win by 6. And Vegas could lose money.
Yeah.
Losing money is covering the spread. I don't think anybody's taking the Dallas on the – well, I mean, they could take them on the money line. They're not going to pay much if you take them on the money line, no, at all.
Yeah.
-8's what, like plus 185? I mean, Dallas –
I think it's 6.5 now. Is it up to 8 now? It was 6.5.
Maybe it went down. It was 8.5 at the beginning of the week, and then it was down to 8 when I looked on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's 6.5 now.
No, it just tells you where the money has gone.
Yeah, I think it's 6.5. But maybe that's changed since the Andrew Thomas news. I don't know.
Maybe. If anything, that would make Dallas a bigger favorite.
Yeah, no, because that came out later in the week, but last I saw it was 6.5. Stephanie, man, thank you very much, man, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it, but I might have saw that before the Andrew Thomas news. And Rashawn, man, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. He says, "What do New York fans think of Jesse Armstead? He was a teammate of mine in high school, incredible linebacker." Rashawn, man, I say it all the time. I get asked this a lot. And I got to see pretty much all of Armstead's career. And he was great. One of my favorite players. I actually had his jersey. Armstead, to me, is the greatest draft pick in terms of value in New York Giants history. He was an 8th-round draft pick for the New York Giants, and he turned out – I think he was an all-pro, and he made a number of Pro Bowls, was probably the second-best player in that defense for years. Obviously, Strahan, Keith Hamilton. But he was a great New York Giant and a great leader for this football team. So I love Jesse Armstead, one of my all-time favorite defensive players in New York Giants history.
I think you'd have a hard time finding a Giants fan that didn't like Jesse Armstead. He was a leader of that defense. He was the middle linebacker. I mean, he was all over the field. He was a gamer. I'm pretty sure it was Jesse Armstead that picked off the pass against Baltimore that would have tied it, and they called the holding penalty on Keith Hamilton on Jamal Lewis coming out of the backfield. So Armstead had that, but Armstead did that. I mean, he was definitely one of the best defensive players on that team in the late 90s and early 2000s when the offense really couldn't get out of his way. He was definitely part of the defense that carried that team along with Jason Sehorn, my guy. I freaking love Jason Sehorn. But yeah, man, Jesse Armstead was fun to watch. Good old number 98, man. He, like I said, you'd be hard pressed to find a Giants fan that didn't like Jesse Armstead if you were able to watch him in the 90s.
Yeah, man. And and you heard me right, guys. I didn't make a mistake. He was I guess back then they had 8 rounds. He was an 8th-round draft pick for the New York Giants. And I think Strahan was a 2nd round, so they got great value with him. Justin Tuck was a 3rd round, great value with him. Ahmad Bradshaw, 7th round, great value.
Victor Cruz undrafted.
Yeah, Victor Cruz. It was short-lived. Otherwise, I would probably say him for sure. But the fact that Armstead was drafted in the 8th round gave us as many great years as he did. I'm hard-pressed to find, in terms of value, a better draft pick, at least in
Tiki Barber was also, 3rd round?
Who?
Toomer was a 2nd-round pick?
Toomer was 2nd round. Barber, I think, was 2nd round.
Maybe he was. Maybe he came out the next year. It was 2nd.
Hilliard and Barber, I think, were in the same draft. Hilliard was in the 1st. Barber was in the 2nd. We had some great picks, but 8th round.
A&M just tied it up. This is a great game.
Wow. Will J, man, thank you very much. More vital to you, O-line or D-line? I mean, they're both super important. But for me, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, I know a lot of Giants fans are going to say D-line, and I completely understand it. Listen, I always say, though, I think a lot of people overlooked how great that Giants offensive line was because the defensive line got all the accolades during those 2 Super Bowl runs, but the offensive line was as good as any unit, especially when we won that first Super Bowl with Eli Manning, and in 2008, it was incredible. So I think both units were incredible. But for me, it's the offensive line, and you need both. By no means am I trying to discount the importance of the defensive line, but to me, I always say it, man. If you got a sports car in terms of your quarterback, you need insurance. You need to be able to protect him, and having a dominant offensive line makes everything better. Like we were talking about with the Cowboys. The Cowboys, to me, their defense looks better than what it may even be because their offensive line is so dominant, and the fact that they could chew up clock with the run game, establish better field position. So I'm always a guy that's going to favor the offensive line over the defensive line, but they're both incredibly important. The 2 most important things in football outside of the quarterback position is protecting the quarterback and destroying the opposition's quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, the offensive line's like a good pitcher. I mean, pitching always beats good hitting, right? So I kind of equate it to that. It's always great to have a really good hitter. They're going to knock some mistakes out of the park. They're going to be really good. But, man, if you get a really good pitcher, you're shutting them down. So if you have a really good offensive line and you're going against a really good defensive line, the offensive line is usually going to win that battle. So, again, good offensive line also keeps you on the field, keeps the other offense off the field. So it can make the defensive line a lot better. And if your offense can't go, man, it's tough. It's tough to win games when you don't have great offense. The Giants have somehow found a way to do it over the years. In the 90s, listen, man, Dave Brown, Danny Cannell, Kent Graham, they weren't doing it. We made the damn playoffs with Danny Cannell. Okay? Not good.
Different game. It was a different game, too.
It was, but we won because of Keith Hamilton, Strahan, Armstead, Sehorn. We won because that defense allowed like 14 points a game.
Incredible.
So but the offensive line to me it's more important. Not by much, because again, the game's still one of the trenches. I don't get 100 years from now, the game will still be one of the trenches.
Yeah, you need both. I mean, ideally, I would like to have what we had back in 2008 when you had the NASCAR package, you had that dominant offensive line. And that, that's where the best teams are built. That's where you start, and that's what makes everything else better on your football team. So
every one of our teams, every one of our Super Bowl teams has had good offensive and defensive lines. Every one of them. Yeah. We have not had a team that's had a bad offensive line or a bad defensive line and won a Super Bowl. Every one of them has had both.
You need it. And I'm going to get to you in a second, Nader. Cody, man, thank you so much for being a member for 8 months. Says, hot take, Cody. Jones throws for another 400-plus yards. Tony and Barkley combined for 200 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. Giants win 41-38. From your lips to God's ears, Cody. I would love it. As long as we get a win, I don't care how we do it. But like I said earlier in the stream, I personally think going into this game, and I would love to see Jones throw for 400 yards and us get a win, I would rather have a 200 or 150 to 200 yards on the ground and 250 yards in the air. I would rather have a more balanced offensive approach in this game, being able to run the ball effectively against this team. But if we're not able to do that, Jones is going to have to throw for damn near 400 yards to win this game. There's no doubt about it with the points that Dallas is going to be able to put up. So if we're unable to run, it's going to – I don't know if it's going to require 41 points to win, but if we're unable to run, it's going to require at least 350 yards passing by Daniel Jones to win this football game.
I just hope Daniel Jones has an efficient, smart game. I don't really consider – like 400 yards would be great if he could do it. But like Chris said, I will take – 235 yards, a couple of touchdowns, no turnovers, and being able to run the ball. As long as we win, Daniel Jones will have to have a good game if we win. He may not have to have the game he had against New Orleans to win. It certainly wouldn't hurt. But I just hope he plays a good game. I don't expect Daniel Jones to throw over 400 yards every week. If he can just get us down in the red zone and score those touchdowns instead of the threes and, give us a couple of touchdowns, maybe he throws a couple, maybe he runs one in. I mean, like I said, I'm anxious to see how Jones and the offense responds from what happened in New Orleans. I hope they don't come out with a letdown. This again, they have an opportunistic defense, but it's not a stifling defense. You can move the ball on them, and I hope that Daniel Jones comes out with the confidence he had to finish the New Orleans game, and he tears them up. But 400 yards and then 4 touchdowns, that's
you're asking for a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
You're asking for a lot. And I think he's capable of doing it, but you're asking for a lot. And And I do think Daniel Jones' legs could be a major weapon in this game.
Yep.
For sure. Nader, man, thank you very much. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but did you hear what Troy Aikman said about the Giants? Yeah, we did briefly talk about it earlier. But we'll talk about it a little bit more. I mean, listen, man, he's an analyst at the end of the day. Of course, he's going to be biased. He's always hated the Giants. He's a former Cowboy. And yeah, he lit into the Giants. He basically said that we're not in the same league as the Dallas Cowboys. And, if I'm being honest, and I'm a Giant fan, first off, I love hearing that. Honestly, as a Giants fan, I know some Giants fans may be like, oh my God, I'm so pissed off. I can't believe it. As a Giants fan, anytime the New York Giants get destroyed, whether it be by the media, whether it be by the players they're going up against, I like that. I relish that because I view that as an opportunity to hopefully give the players a little bit more motivation. So I'm happy that Aikman said what he said. But if I'm being completely honest and unbiased, Aikman has every right to feel the way that he does because, quite frankly, Baddog, we're not in the same league as the Cowboys so far this year. They're 3-1 and they lost to the Bucs by 2 points. We're 1-3 and we lost to the Falcons at home.
Right.
Let's be fair. So, and I hope that they make Aikman look like a complete buffoon and moron. And I'm always going to cheer on my team and think that they can win a football game when it comes to game day. And I do think that there's going to be an opportunity if the Giants play a great football game to come out of here with a win. Do I think the Giants will get destroyed? I don't. I honestly don't think the Cowboys are going to completely embarrass us, kind of like how Aikman kind of led on. But he has every right to feel that way that he does. I mean, if I'm being honest, the Cowboys have looked like a better football team. I can't come in here and lie to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when it comes down to Giants and Cowboys, I don't think the Giants need any extra added incentive, but there's no doubt about it that that's up there. And, Joe Judge is going to make them aware of it that, hey, listen, they don't think too highly of us. No one's giving us a chance. Let's go out there and prove these guys wrong. What I will say about Aikman is he's probably the most overrated quarterback ever to play the game. Ever. I mean, his statistics are terrible. He threw for over 20 touchdowns once in his entire career. And if Troy Aikman was not on one of the greatest teams ever assembled, nobody would even know who the hell he is. That's a fact. That's a fact. If he played for anybody besides Dallas, no one would even know who the hell he is. So that's what I'm saying about Troy Aikman. Is he wrong about the Dallas being way better than the Giants? No, but he's overrated and he sucks and he's a Cowboy. So bite it, Troy.
Yeah, exactly. Troy, I say it all the time. I don't remember. I guess it was Buck on the call, but that was the worst play calling in the history of the NFL when Eli Manning completed the pass to David Tyree. The lack of emotion from that duo when that play. And they've always hated the Giants, and it is what it is. But as a Giants fan, I like that type of thing. I like when you go back, you watch that Super Bowl run. They got videos of it on YouTube, Baddog. Every week, the experts picked against us. The Bucs, all of them picked the Bucs. The Cowboys, all of them picked
the Cowboys.
The Packers, all of them. The Patriots, all of them.
I think Jimmy Kimmel picked the Giants.
In the Super Bowl, he did.
Yes,
Jimmy Kimmel. But he's not an expert. But
no.
Yeah, he did. You're right. But I like when the New York Giants are down. And I like, last week, the guy I forgot who it was, but one of the players on the Saints basically laughed at the Giants. I like that. I want teams to laugh at us. I want the Giants to get, if there's any way to get us more motivation, please, by all means. So that's the way I look at it.
Yep.
Slinks, man, thank you very much. He says, Sunday Night Football tomorrow, who you got, Bills or Chiefs? Where's that game being played, Beto?
I don't know. I like the Bills, though.
I think I like the Bills regardless of where it's being played, too, based off the way that the Kansas City Chiefs defenses look so far this year. And the Bills obviously look fantastic last week, winning 40-0. That game's in Kansas City. I just think Kansas City is going to rebound eventually, and it's hard for me to see them at 2-3. That's a tough one, man, though. But I think I'm going to slightly actually lean towards Kansas City, but that's a pick'em game for me. I can see that going either way. That's going to be a great game. And obviously, based off of last week's performance, most people are going to say the Bills, but I have to think Kansas City eventually is going to get back on track. I just think their offense is way too talented. I know their defense is bad. That game could go either way, though. That's a great game, man.
I still think the Bills. I think the Bills get revenge for the AFC.
I can see it for sure. I can see it.
The Bills are red hot right now.
They look great.
Kids. It should be a great game, but just put it that way.
If it was in Buffalo, I'm definitely taking Buffalo. But it could go either way. That's gonna be a really good game. Q-Dog, man, thank you very much. What's up, my Italian stallions? Daniel Jones, my man. We always give Q-Dog the credit he deserves, man. The first guy I think both of us realized was on the Daniel Jones train long before the Giants drafted him.
Yeah.
But hopefully makes you happy again this week, man. Zahai, man, he says, who was the most dominant athlete of all time in all of sports? No one mentioned Serena Williams. I'll let Baddog start on that, and then I'll give my answer.
Secretariat.
All right, let's take animals out of it.
I mean, that
Secretariat's
is the
dominant.
most dominant ever. Most dominant athlete. I mean, when you're talking about, are you talking about player?
Player.
Gretzky.
Well,
Gretzky.
Tennis supplies, hockey.
Wayne Gretzky. Because when you talk about the greatest of all time, there is no question. No, there's guys getting close. No one's still broken Gretzky's records. He played how many years ago? Gretzky was the most dominant. He won 5 cups in Edmonton. He's the most dominant, I think, most dominant athlete of all time was Wayne Gretzky. I don't think there's any question about it. When you think hockey, you think Wayne Gretzky. When you think football, you think of a bunch of different people. When you think baseball, you think of a bunch of different people. Yeah, I mean, maybe when you think basketball, you think Jordan if you're our age, but some people think LeBron. But when you think hockey, it's Gretzky. There is no other. There's a reason the guy's name was the Great One. That's
all right. Here, Serena Williams is a great answer, by the way. I'm not big into tennis, but she has dominated that sport. Like, if you're just talking pure dominance of a sport, she's definitely on the short list for sure. Gretzky has to be. When you look at some of the and I'm not a hockey guy, but when you look at some of the statistics this guy was able to accrue while playing hockey, he was on a different planet than everybody else. Michael Jordan, same thing. I mean, Michael Jordan was dominant. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely era-based. But I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to go old school, but when you think about dominance, and I don't know how he would perform in this era, but you could only judge a player based off the era that he played in. And in modern day technology and with trainers, he may not have been a fat slob. Babe Ruth, to me, is the most dominant athlete in the history of sports when you look at his statistical accomplishments. The guy hit for more home runs than any team one year. Think about that, Bad Dog. He hit more home runs than any team in baseball, and there's definitely factors, right? Because back then, unfortunately, African-American players weren't able to play, so that has to come into effect as well. But he dominated his era. He definitely has to be on the short list for me as well. Wayne Gretzky, like you said, Jordan dominant, Serena Williams dominant, Tiger Woods, man. And I know it wasn't for as long of a period as a guy like Jack Nicklaus, but Tiger Woods was super dominating what he was able to accomplish throughout his career as well before it kind of fell off. So he's up there for me as well.
I kind of missed it. My internet went out on me again for a second.
Oh, I said Babe Ruth.
Oh, babe, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Michael Phelps. I see Michael Phelps in the chat. That's a really good one too.
Yeah, I just look at. I mean, I think about that the statistic by Babe Ruth where he hit more home runs than any team, and that just blows my mind.
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Yeah, that is
Chris, man, thank you very much. He says, "You know this story, boys. Outclassed. # we them boys." We'll see.
That's why they play the game, sir.
We'll see, my man. We'll see you out there tomorrow.
I don't know what we them coys is, but that's why they play the game. We them coys.
Oh, did he say we them coys? I thought he said we them boys.
We them coys.
Maybe it was.
I mean, the C's not even next to the B, sir. I love you, Chris. You know, I'm just messing with you, buddy.
And most overrated. Who said most? I don't know. Authentic. Maybe talking to somebody in the chat. Daniel Jones, man. Thank you very much. It's late, but I'm still in the film room. Daniel, you keep doing your thing, my man. We're going to need you out there tomorrow. We know you're a hard worker, and hopefully you go out there and you throw for 400 yards and the Giants win the football game. Thank you so much for popping in, Daniel. Jonathan says, serious question, and I can't believe I'm asking this, but do I start Mahomes or Jones in fantasy tomorrow?
Jones. And you know what's funny? I have that same – actually, I don't because we play 2 quarterbacks. I'll be playing Mahomes and Jones. I'm not playing Baker Mayfield. I'm taking Jones because the Giants are going to have to score points. And even if – listen, look at the Texas A&M just won on the last second field goal. Look at what Jalen Hurts did. Look at the numbers Jalen Hurts put up against them when it was out of sorts. It was 326 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm taking Daniel Jones.
I love Daniel Jones, and I could easily see Daniel Jones having a better fantasy performance tomorrow than Pat Mahomes. I know, and I respect the Bills' defense, but I don't know, man. If you drafted Pat Mahomes, it means you took him really early in your draft. He's the most talented quarterback in the league. If he's not, he's the second most talented. I think Jones could have a great day, but if it was me, I don't think there's a scenario where I ever bench Pat Mahomes. If I'm being completely unbiased,
I don't have to worry about it. Like I said, I can play them both.
Yeah, if I spend as early as a pick in a one quarterback league as it takes to draft Pat Mahomes, I'm riding him the whole year. And I think Dan Jones could have a great day. I could see it going either way. But if it were me, as much as I love Danny Jones and think Danny Jones could have a great day tomorrow and he could definitely put up better stats, it would be very, very hard for me to ever sit Pat Mahomes in my lineup. That's my honest opinion on that.
I can't wait to see Uncle Lou's video about this one, man. He's gonna have a fun time. I still gotta watch the halftime video, but he's Georgia fans are very happy tonight. Very happy tonight.
I know the boxing match. Everybody's going to, that's happening tonight. I realized that after. I'm not going to get a chance to watch an Amazing Guy Fury versus Wild. I watched the last one with my brother. It was actually a good match. I think it's the third time they're going up against each other. What's going on there, Rajiv, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Yeah, we'll answer some of your questions, guys, for about another 15, 20 minutes, and then we're going to close it out. We usually end around 12:10. So appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here, and hopefully the New York Giants get a win tomorrow. Appreciate all you guys for being here. Ronaldo and Messi, I don't watch Russ. I respect soccer players. I don't know enough about them to speak on that. I know Ronaldo and Messi are incredible. Those are the two names that you always hear. I just don't know enough about soccer for me to comment on it. But if I'm being complete, in my lifetime, going back to that question, just dominance. I think it's got to be Serena or Tiger Woods. Just or Phelps. Like just like pure dominance. Now those are individual sports, so you could at least make an argument that it's much more easier to be dominant in an individual sport than it would be a team sport, right? But in my lifetime, I think those would be the three names I'd have near the top of my list.
Secretariat.
That's Secretariat's not in your life. You're not that old.
No, but Secretariat won the Belmont by 31.5 lengths.
It was impressive.
Secretariat still holds the records for, at least I believe, for fastest times in all the Triple Crown legs. He did that in 1973. That's the most dominant athlete ever. Listen, Sports Century even said that he was the most dominant athlete of all time. I didn't see Secretariat.
A lot of credit. You know I'm a Met fan. You know I don't like the Yankees. I said Ruth, and Mariano Rivera, Foxy Dog, is actually a really good answer. He'll never get the credit for that because he only came in and pitched the 9th inning. But there, and as a Met fan, you really appreciate, people always tell me, who was the best Yankee in your lifetime? And a lot of people say Jeter. I laugh. I say it's not even close. It's Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera was by far the most important players on those Yankees teams. And if you're a Met fan or any other team fan in baseball, or even a Yankee fan right now, I don't know how you don't appreciate the dominance of Mariano Rivera. The guy went out there. It blows my mind, and you really appreciate it more as you get older. The guy went out there. The hitter knew what he was going to pitch. He threw one freaking pitch. He threw a cutter. They knew it was coming. He didn't have overpowering stuff. He wasn't throwing 100 miles an hour, but the guy was so good with his precision where he put the ball, and there was not a better player, in my opinion, in a big spot since I've been watching baseball than Mariano Rivera. So that's actually a very good answer. He won't get the credit for that, but he was super dominant, and there was nobody that's even close to as good as what he did in his spot in Major League Baseball history.
He's my favorite Yankee of all time for a reason. And when I did my top 10 Yankees of all time, he was 5th. The guys ahead of him, Ruth, Mantle, DiMaggio, Gehrig. I think that's fair. I have Mariano Rivera ahead of Jeter. I have him ahead of Yogi Berra. Because, yes, especially as Yankee fans, any Yankee fan out there, all you have to do is look at what the bullpen was this year and how we used to have to bite our fists and chew our nails off whenever Aroldis Chapman would come into the game. And every time I would do a Yankee game on stream or whatever, I'd sit there and go, this is why I love Mariano Rivera. When Mariano Rivera came in, it was over. I mean, yeah, did he have some hiccups? Yeah. Did the game that he lost against the whatchamacallit? Diamondbacks. That's the only loss he ever had in his career. In the postseason, he was 8-1. His ERA was 0.69.
And if the infield's playing back, it probably doesn't happen.
Right. It's probably double play. Well, it's caught. I mean, we don't know what happens after that. But yeah, Jeter catches the ball. So yeah, I mean, he was. Listen, I loved Mariano Rivera. I mean, that's my guy. It's my favorite Yankee of all time because I understand how important he was. Nobody had that guy. Nobody had him, man.
Yeah, it's actually a really good answer. It's a really good answer because you don't think about him as you would about Serena Williams, but there was nobody better at what he did.
Yeah, definitely not. But again, he was a 9th inning guy. He's the most dominant closer of all time, the most dominant athlete.
The most dominant And I know this is not, I mean, it's late. This show's been going for a while anyway. So I actually like having these discussions every now and again during these streams. The most dominant starting pitcher, I mean, DeGrom is up there. And I know I might sound biased as a Met fan. He is friggin' ridiculous. DeGrom is definitely up there for me. But I have got to go, and I know Yankee fans don't want to hear this. I got to go Pedro, man. Pedro Martinez, when he was at his best, and not as long-lived. Greg Maddux was, in terms of longevity, what was the best I've ever seen. At 15 years straight of 15 wins. But at his best, for me, it's either DeGrom or Pedro, but I think I'd go Pedro. What he was able to do in the steroid era, playing in a hitter's ballpark in Boston for those 3 or 4 years where he was super dominant, I don't think I've ever seen a starting pitcher more dominant than Pedro Martinez when he was at his best.
97 to 2000, Pedro was definitely the best I ever saw. I mean, you're talking about in the league, the average ERA was about 4.5. Pedro's ERA was in the 1.7s. Pedro's whip was like 0.75. He struck out 315 people. Yeah, God, I hated Pedro. I freaking hated him, but that guy was absolutely incredible. He was so dominant. You couldn't touch him. And for being a guy that was so slight, he was super intimidating. He wasn't afraid to pitch inside, wasn't afraid to hit you, didn't care. He was really dominant. Randy Johnson was really dominant. The other guy that was really dominant
Clemens
in that era.
Steroids induced, but Clemens too.
Yep, but Pedro was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Pedro was absolutely ridiculous in that time. And then, Barry Bonds was the other one. I mean, you want to talk about dominant guy.
Yeah.
There's no more dominant player that I've ever seen in my life than him. He was the modern day Babe Ruth. Okay.
They walked him with the bases loaded.
Okay. He took steroids, or supposedly. He was never proven to, but the dude hit 375 when he was like 39 years. He had 46 homers and like 220 official at bats. He walked 230 times in a year. The guy had a slugging percentage of over 800 and on base percentage of over 600 one year. He hit 73 home runs in a season. I've never seen anything like that. And before steroids, all he was a 3-time MVP, 30-30 guy, Gold Glove outfielder.
Barry Bonds was incredible.
He was one of my favorite players of all time. I have a Barry Bonds Giants jersey because I loved Barry Bonds. Hall of Famer, don't care what anybody says. Guy's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, for sure. I don't know if he'll get in because of the steroids, but there's guys in there that have done roids.
He should be in.
Hi, man, thank you very much. I love the ocean and marine life. Used to be part of a conservation program. Chat can help by follow or donate to 4Ocean. Those guys are awesome with a great cause, cleaning cost. And there you go. Zai, man, I just want to say thank you so much for being such a great supporter of the channel. Anybody that wants to help that cause, by all means, man. Zai, man, thank you so much, man, for all the support you always show on both of our channels, man. So absolutely, man. Anytime you want to shout that out, man, by all means. And maybe if I do a charity stream in the future, that'll be something maybe I put it towards, man. But thank you so much, Zai, man. I really appreciate it. Daniel Jones. I didn't know you were a member of my channel, Daniel. He says, I'm throwing for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns tomorrow.
Wish.
Daniel, man, if you do that, I am going to be singing your praises all week. I promise you. If Daniel Jones goes out and bowls this week, Baddog, I am going to be unbearable.
I'll just take the 4 touchdown part. The hell with the yards.
Yeah, exactly.
The 4 touchdown part, I'll take that.
For people that do not like when I praise Daniel Jones, I'm going to be unbearable this week if he does something like that. Rolly, man, thank you very much. Guys, why the blank have the Giants had to suck me in like this? I'm actually thinking we're going to win. Why do they do me like this? I should know better. Rolly, you thought we were going to win against Washington? I told you calm down, and you were right. They should have won. And you think they're going to win this week? I hope you're right, Rolly. I'm going in with the same exact approach I had last week. I went in with limited expectations. I'm realizing that Dallas is a better football team. We're playing in Dallas, and I hope they pleasantly surprise me. And by no means do I think it's impossible. Divisional game, there's a lot of factors that could play into it. Giants have to win the turnover battle. But if I'm being honest, Rolly, right now at least, and things change throughout the course of a season, Bando, especially in football, you know that. In 2 or 3 weeks, your team could look completely different, and you could feel completely different about your team than you did 2 or 3 weeks earlier. And maybe this offense continues to grow, and Galladay and Jones get better chemistry, and Tony and Barkley, and the offensive line continues to impress. But I need to see more before I personally am going to go out on the limb and pick the Giants to win against a team that I feel is a really good team on the road. If it was home, I might feel a little bit differently in terms of siding with the Giants, but I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Roldy's right.
Yeah, I mean, I picked us to win last week. I for whatever reason, felt like we were going to. I even know at the beginning of the year, my prediction before the year started when I did the round table was completely the opposite. I had us winning the first 3 games and losing that one. So I completely switched around. I definitely think we have a chance to beat Dallas, but I will not say that we will. I just don't. Again, they got to show me more. Like I said, man, all stream, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to be too high or too low on Daniel Jones the rest of the year. I will be very even keel one way or the other. I like that he's improving.
Yeah.
But I want to see what they do. I want to see if they can build off that win. I think this game tells us a lot about the barometer of this team, what the offense can be. So we'll see. The offense has a chance to put up points. I'm not worried about the offense. I think the offense will score. Can they score enough is the question.
Yeah, I think to your point about being even keel with Jones and giving him I think he's earned that at this point. I'm not saying that you need to, like you said earlier, I'm not saying that he's earned to say that he's the franchise quarterback because he hasn't. Not yet. And I'm behind Jones, and I do think he's going to have a really good year. I thought that before the year started. I still think that. And so far, he's off to a good start. But I think he's earned, based off the way he's looked over the first 4 weeks, not for the fan base to blow up if he has a dud.
Yep.
Because every quarterback's going to have a dud.
I definitely will not blow up at him. And again, I'm not gonna, if he has a good game. I mean, I was giddy to how well he played because, like I said, I've been sitting there saying I know that, which is why I've been so tough on him, because I know that that's there. I see that. I know he's talented because even when I did the video at the beginning of the year, when I said Jalen Hurts has the it factor, and people go, oh, I'm like, you don't understand. Tim Tebow had the it factor too. Don't make him a good quarterback. And I say right in the video, I think Daniel Jones has a better skill set than Jalen Hurts. I never, ever said anything other than that. And I actually said that maybe Jalen Hurts is a little bit better athlete. And everybody goes, oh, Daniel Jones trips on his own feet. I'm like, then you don't pay attention because Daniel Jones is a very good athlete. So he don't look like one. Well, Eli Manning didn't look like a good quarterback either with his face, right? But guess what? He was one of the best ever. So, take that as you may. But
I'm gonna tell you a quarterback who I think has the it factor. And you're probably higher on him than I am in terms of a player, but because he went to Oklahoma. But I think that Baker Mayfield has the it factor. But in terms of a prospect, when I take everything out of consideration, I don't factor in Cleveland's offensive line and the support system he has. I would take Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I really believe that when I watch the two play. Baker Mayfield doesn't impress me in terms of as a quarterback. But does he have the it factor? Is he a good leader? Yeah. But there's nothing about Mayfield when I watch him play that jumps off the page for me.
right.
I know that, and I know he's a great leader. That's always been his reputation while at Oklahoma.
He's a gamer.
I think he has the it factor in terms of being a leader, but in terms of a talent, he doesn't impress me.
Well, I'll tell you this: Daniel Jones showed the it factor against New Orleans. That's what I've been waiting to see. I always knew he had talent. I was waiting for that. Like I said during the stream, man, he's had a great game. Now he needs to put the cherry on top, and he needs to have his moment. And he did. Now we look for him to have another moment against Dallas. But there's no doubt Daniel Jones has the talent to do this. He's big. He's very accurate down the field. He's fast. He's athletic. My question was always he needs confidence in himself. And that's why I was so giddy. Not because he threw for 400 yards, not because he won, because I saw for the first time him be extremely confident in what the hell he was doing. And that can only bode well for him in the New York Giants offense, that he is confident. I want to see him do that again. I want to see that confidence in his throws. I want to see the decisiveness in his throws where he's going with the ball and that he believes in his throws and he believes in the players around him. It was good to see. So I want to see him do it again, going forward. And I'll tell you who else has the it factor. Kyler Murray. That's right, baby. I said that from day one, damn it, that he was going to be a star.
I will absolutely give you the credit on that. You hit it on the head. Kyler Murray right now is probably the MVP of the NFL so far this year.
Man.
Maybe Mahomes. I know he leads the league in touchdown passes, but the Chiefs are off to a 2-2 start. So, Kyler Murray looks like an absolute stud.
So good, man.
So good. You knocked that one out of the park.
He's so good.
You were on him long before he came into the NFL, so tip my cap to you on that. Yeah. Bad Cat, what's going on? He says Alabama. I appreciate the the picture there. Alabama wow, they lost.
Yeah, they lost. A&M kicked a field goal at the end of the game, 141-38.
So that's going to knock.
They're going back. They're going to fall out of the top 5. That's a 2-loss A&M team that I think they lost to Ole Miss. I know they lost to Arkansas, and they lost to Arkansas bad. Arkansas kicked their ass. Bama's out of the top 5. I think Bama has to fall behind Penn State because Penn State lost to Iowa. I don't think that Alabama can be ahead of Penn State.
Yeah, Alabama obviously still has a clear path to the championship if they win out, because that would mean that they'd beat Georgia.
They'd have to win the SEC championship
against Georgia. They got to win out. But now this gives them no room for error. Had they won throughout the regular season, they could have lost in the SEC championship and still made the playoffs. Now they got to win. Now they got to win out.
So, well, it might be tough if Georgia goes on. Well, Georgia were going undefeated. They'd have to beat Alabama. But even if Georgia loses Alabama in the SEC championship again, that might be tough if Georgia's undefeated, because Cincy could be undefeated, Oklahoma could be undefeated, and Iowa should be undefeated. Because they're not in the Big Ten. They're in the Big Ten West. That's not as difficult as the Big Ten East, where you got Ohio State, Penn State. So it's going to be interesting, but that hurt. They're going to fall. Like I said, Cincy's going up, Iowa's going up. They can't be ahead of Penn State because Penn State lost to Iowa. Oklahoma hasn't been impressive, but they're 6-0.
I'm going to say they're ahead of Penn State.
They can't be ahead of Penn State. There's no way. Penn State lost one game. They lost by 3 to Iowa today in Iowa. I don't think you can put Bama ahead of Penn State. They just lost to a 2-loss A&M team that's not ranked. I can't.
So you think they're 6 or lower?
I think they got to fall out of the top 5 with that loss.
That's a big drop if that happens.
I think Iowa moves up. I think Oklahoma moves up. I think Penn State has to be ahead of them. I don't know where Penn State's going to end up, but I think that they can't be ahead of Penn State. There's no way they can be ahead of Penn State. That's a bad loss for Alabama. But losing to a number 3 Iowa team by 3 points isn't a bad loss.
It's a good loss. And there's never a good loss, but it's not a bad loss.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, but I think they fall out of the top 5. I really do.
Pimp named Slickback, man, thank you very much. Look, I'm rooting for DJ, but I want Giants fans to pump the brakes. I'm excited, but in the past, overhype has done more damage to DJ. Yeah, listen, man, I agree.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, by no means, I'm excited about DJ. Just like you just said, a pimp named Slickback, and I thought he was going to have a good year, and I'm going to continue to. Why would my opinion change? If I thought he was going to have a good year before the year started, he's looked good so far through the first 4 weeks. So I'm going to continue to express that, and I know he's going to have a bump in the road, and I know the fan base is going to flip out when he does, but I'm going to stay on that track regardless of what happens over the next couple of games, because I do think he's going to have a good year. But I'm with you, man. For people that are set, it's like what we did with Joe Judge last year, and it's like what we did with Daniel Jones in his rookie season. When you build somebody up that has not necessarily earned that praise yet, you're only setting them up for failure because you're setting the expectations way too high. And when he does inevitably take a little bit of a step back, he's going to get killed. So I'm with you. I'm excited for Jones. I'm going to continue to just praise Jones because he's deserved it. And I do think he's capable of being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I really do believe that. But I am not going to say, I see some people saying he's the next coming of, I'm not doing that. He's got to earn that. But obviously you like what you've seen so far a lot. And I do think tomorrow, and again, I want to go back to Andrew Thomas because that's a huge X factor. But if the Giants can block, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if they could give him some time tomorrow, I do think he's going to have a very good game against Dallas.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I expect him to have a good game as well. I don't see why he wouldn't.
Unless the offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
Saban was to be here tonight, but Texas A&M beat him to a last-minute field goal. He's in rage mode and has told the EOC he will be firing B.O.B. and I don't know. I guess that's members of the coaching staff.
Yes, construction worker Saban will not be here tonight because he lost. Now, you never know about zookeeper Tiger Woods or McDonald's employee Connor McDavid, but construction worker Saban will not be here.
Thank you very much, DeGrom, I appreciate that. And a pimp named Slipback says, also, if I'm the Browns this offseason, I'm looking at the trade market for Watson or Russell Wilson and free agency for Rodgers. I agree. And I know Baddog probably doesn't. He loves him. And I listen, if I was as big of an Oklahoma fan as he is, I'd love him too. If I'm the Browns, and they're probably going to win, they're going to have another really good year, and they're going to give him the extension. I talked a lot about how I would be hesitant to give Dak an extension. How could I say that I would give Mayfield an extension? I don't think Mayfield's near as good as Dak when I watch the two play. So I think Mayfield's been set up in quarterback heaven. And you have to ask yourself, if you give Mayfield a huge contract, can you continue to have that? Their offensive line is the best in the league. They have the best ground game. I would not give him the contract, but I think they will. If
Baker's not as good. I thought Baker would be better. I really did. I thought his skill set translated to the NFL pretty well, but he's dealt with some injuries, and he certainly had a bad second season. There's no doubt about that. And I thought he'd be better than he is. I think Baker can win, and you see
for
it.
sure.
He's an above average quarterback, but no, he's not. I thought Baker Mayfield would be a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he has proven that yet. I don't know if he ever will. I mean, I don't really see Baker getting better than he is. I mean, this is his fourth season. I think Baker maybe gets a little bit better, but he'll never be Kyler Murray. I mean, and I knew that anyway. People ask me that all the time. Like, Kyler Murray is way better than Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma. All you had to do is watch the two play. But I definitely thought Baker Mayfield, again,
he's different.
He's one. Kyler Murray's skill set is stupid, but I always loved his toughness, his grit, his leadership. He's a winner. But as far as like the skill set goes, it definitely did not. I thought he'd be better as far as I thought he put up better numbers. I thought he would be a better quarterback. He's average to above average.
Well, what I'd have to ask myself if I was a Browns fan is if this supporting cast gets worse, which it inevitably will. If you pay Mayfield, you're not going to be able to sustain that entire team. Can Mayfield continue to win football games and continue to post the stats that he has? And I don't know. I would have doubts if I was a Browns fan. So that's just my personal opinion. But I guess we'll see how he does throughout the remainder of the year. But I think they're going to be good this year, though. I mean, the team's excellent. They built a really good team around him.
Yep.
Pimps also says this could be the biggest quarterback free agent market ever. And we're going to have no money. So even if you wanted to sign one, we ain't doing it. But well, Rodgers, I don't think he's going to be a free agent. He's going to be traded. I think he's still in the contract, but he has a clause in his contract where he's going to be able to force a trade wherever he wants to go, so he might as well be a free agent. Watson, I don't know if he's a free agent. I don't think he is. They signed him to an extension, but again, will be traded more than likely. You're going to see quarterback turnover. You saw a lot of quarterback turnover this year too, though. Baddog, you saw obviously the Stafford and Goff trade. Well, Carson Wentz. Yeah. There was a couple of others that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but there was some quarterback turnover this year as well.
Darnold went to Carolina.
Correct. Going to Carolina. Yep, absolutely. So there was, but I expect there to be some more next year.
Who else? Dalton went to the Bears.
Who else?
Somebody was saying Justin Fields is a star. I didn't know what they were looking at. Justin Fields. I'm not saying anything about Justin Fields. He's had 2 terrible freaking games. Terrible.
Yeah.
He won. I don't even think he's thrown a touchdown yet. He was 6 for 20 for 68 yards. And again, I'm not saying that he won't be great because I don't know. I don't like Ohio State quarterbacks, but I don't know where they were talking about. He looks great. And then you got other people saying Trevor Lawrence is a bust. Hey, listen, anybody, number one, I'm going to tell you 2 things about Trevor Lawrence. Number one, Trevor Lawrence came into the worst freaking team possible. Number 2, he's got the worst freaking coach possible. Urban Meyer is a freaking disaster. When Urban Meyer heads west to USC, which is where he goes, he will tuck tail and run. And he's got this whole thing in the bar. Now he's a clown. But when things get tough, Urban Meyer tucks tail and run. He's a coward. It'll be the best thing that ever happened to Trevor Lawrence when he gets a real coach in there. And anybody that's being honest with himself, if you watch that Cincinnati-Jacksonville game and you watch Trevor Lawrence play, there is no way in hell you could watch him play and go, that guy's a bust. He has the same skill set as Justin Herbert. Herbert's on a better team. And it's Herbert's second year in the league.
That was really my first opportunity to really sit and watch Lawrence for an entire game. I think he was on national TV for another game, but I didn't get to see the whole game. That was the first game where I really got to sit and watch him play, and I know his statistics. People who just look at stats are going to say he's not doing.
That's why stats are for fantasy football.
If you watch that guy play, Baddog, and you left that game saying to yourself, that guy's going to be a bust, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Exactly.
Trevor Lawrence has a ton of talent.
Yep.
He's got a ton of zip on his throws. He's super mobile. He's just, we talk about it all the time with Jones, how he was set up in a really poor situation. It's the same thing for Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars are a horrible situation. It's going to be hard for him to win games there. But if you just watch the guy play, you see what some of the hoopla was about with him going number 1 over. I'm in complete agreement with you with Trevor Lawrence. That guy's going to be a damn good quarterback.
Yep, he's really good.
Complete agreement with you.
Yep.
And a pimp named Slickback says, I do think DJ can become a top. I agree. I was kind of like lukewarm to that idea before the year started. Like I thought he could be a fringe top 10 to back end top 10 before the year started. I actually think he could be a little bit closer to the top 5 with a complete ceiling than maybe I thought, because I really like what I've seen. I'm not saying he can be top 5 because that's saying a lot. but I think he could be cemented as a top 10 quarterback. I'll say that right now. If we build this team around him, I do think he has a lot of tools that a lot of people don't really want to see because they're blinded because of their hate for DJ or the fact that they've already convinced themselves that there's no way that he could be a franchise quarterback. I just happen to disagree with that. I'm not saying, like you said earlier, Bad Dog, I am not saying that he is a franchise quarterback. He's got more to prove before I'm willing to say that. But I definitely see the potential with Daniel Jones. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him top 10 yet. Again, I'm going to be
he's not top 10 yet.
Patient with him. I mean, when he started his career, I always said, I think he could be a bottom end of the top 10 guy, 8th, 9th. Right now, what I like is I think these people got to shut their mouths about Daniel Jones not being talented or that he sucks or Danny fumbles, all the crap that, Cowboys and Eagles fans say. Number one, if you're an Eagles fan, you can't say shit about Daniel Jones. He's way better than your quarterback. And Cowboys fans, we'll see. I mean, Daniel Jones, hopefully he earns, you're never really going to earn a Cowboys fan respect. But, I'm sick and tired of them bashing the quarterback when he plays well. If he plays bad, I get it. But when you just sit there and talk about things that Daniel Jones did from his rookie season or last year that have no bearing on the way he's played this year and just want to hate on him because he had a bad second season, then you don't pay attention to football. Sports is a what have you done for me lately league.
Especially
and the pulse of sports. Like so many people are like, oh, you're wrong about this. You're wrong about that. You're always going to be wrong because everything changes. Sports change from day to day, week to week. It always changes. So your take one week ain't going to be your take the next week. That is people on YouTube. That is people on television. That's people on the radio. You can always go back to somebody's take on something and go, that was wrong. Of course it is. That's part of it. That's the rules of engagement. That's part of giving your take on things that have just happened. But you can't predict the future.
Listen, if you're not wrong a decent amount of the time to at least close to 50% of the time, you're not giving a real opinion. You're not sticking your neck out there. Right. That's my honest take on it. And the other thing is, I think one thing that I can't personally stand when I watch other, I guess, like professional analysts, like guys on ESPN, guys on whatever, guys who are not willing to admit that they were wrong. Guys, just sticking to their take and say, guys, I don't know, Daniel Jones, for example, guys who are just completely, no matter what happens, they're set in stone. This guy can never be good. That's just an example. There's plenty of other examples I could say, but I think those are the weakest analysts because everybody's going to be wrong. Yep. Football, any sport, is a game of predictability. There's no way you're going to know unpredictability, right. I should say. If you're sticking your neck out there, you're giving an opinion. You're saying, yeah, I think Jones could be really good this year, but he could flop. And if he does flop, you have to own up to it and say, yeah, I was wrong. Yep. And, there's a lot of times where I'm wrong. And there's going to be
same here. I say it all the time jokingly. I'm like, listen, I'm married. I'm wrong every day of my life. You're going to ask my wife. I'm used to it. So people are like, oh, that aged poorly. Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
I'm the one on here putting my opinion out there. It's easy to come back and criticize when you don't do it. It's easy to.
Well,
but I'm going to be wrong again. I'll be, without a doubt, I've been wrong. I'll be wrong again. As long as I do this, I'll be wrong. It is what it is.
Sometimes you're going to be right.
Nobody gives you credit when you're right either.
Well, that's the thing. People will harp on you when you're wrong, but very few people will be like, yeah, you were right about that.
Yeah, I know.
Daniel Jones, man, thank you very much. I'm currently massaging Andrew Good. Get him on the football field. Get him healthy. We're going to need him, man. And I know you need him more than anybody else, Daniel. So make sure he's out there on the football field.
We need him for our sanity. There he is. He made it.
Construction worker saving, man. Thank you so much. He says, in my opinion, we should be ranked number 125. Bill O'Brien did 3 straight passes on the goal line. Pete Golden can't stop the Aggies on the 3rd down. I'm sad.
When Alabama took the lead, I thought that game was over.
Sorry, Saban, man. And Frank, man, thank you very much. Gettleman gone after this year. Right now, I'm not, after 0-3, down on the dumps. We lost to the Falcons, right? I'm going to reserve judgment. I don't want to say conclusively one way or the other right now. If I had to bet on it, yeah, I would at least lean that way. But Frank, what I'll say is, like Bad Dog said, it's a week-to-week league. Bad Dog, our last 4 first-round picks. Kadarius Toney, how did he look last week?
Good.
Daniel Jones, how did he look last week?
Damn good.
Andrew Thomas, how did he look last week?
Damn good.
Saquon Barkley, how did he look last week?
He's getting back to where he was his rookie season.
So it's a week-to-week league, Frank. And if those guys continue to look good, and the Giants say win 7 or 8 games, and you say to yourself, well, all those draft picks are looking really good, and I don't really want to break this thing up. Jones looks like he's improving. You don't just make change to make change. So I'm going to give it the season. I am not going to conclusively say he's definitely going to be fired. I got to see the rest of the year before I can speak on that.
After we lost to the Falcons my video right out there, fire Dave Gettleman's ass, talking about how we're in a worse position than we were when he took over, and then you see a really good quarter and a half of football. So again, he's still on the hot seat. The Giants come out here and lay an egg against Dallas, and we lose a game 41-17 or something, it'll all be back. So yeah, to me right now, if I'm asking, I would say yes.
Yeah, it's definitely trying. I'm still leaning yes,
but it can change. We'll just put it that way, Frank.
Yeah,
it can change. If we beat Dallas and somehow we upset the Rams, and all of a sudden we're 3-3 and we have wins against Dallas and the Rams, are two of the best teams in the NFC, and we could have been 5-1, then maybe things will start to change, and you start to say, okay, this team is coming into its own. This team found itself, and now, yeah, Dave Gettleman did a good job. So yeah, it changes. It changes.
We got 13 weeks still to analyze the team. Let's see how they do, and let's see how they finish. And to me, what could save Gettleman's job is the offensive line outperforming what we thought they would do preseason, and Daniel Jones having a great year.
Yep.
If those things happen, and even if they win 7 or 8 games, there's an argument to be had to keep Gettleman.
Yep.
If those things don't happen, then not. So let's see the totality of the year before we really analyze this team and talk about what we're going to do. Obviously, week to week, we're gonna speculate and say what we, but I'm trying to, I maybe I did jump the gun a little bit. I did. I mean, after 3 games, but we were 0-3 and we just lost to the Falcons.
Well, for me, it wasn't 3 games; it was 4 years.
It was the whole, yeah. But I'm saying just based off this year, based off what they need to do for him to keep his job. Obviously, in terms of the totality of his work, off the first 3 weeks of this season, you're saying to yourself, well, look at the offensive line, So let's see how they perform against Dallas. Let's see how they perform against the Rams. Let's see. They got a really tough schedule. Let's see how they perform this entire year. Is it trending towards they're going to replace Gettleman? Yes. Am I going to concretely say that after 4 weeks based off the way that they played last week? No. That's what I'll say. And construction workers say, man, thank you very much. So this is what losing feels like. I'm very numb. Yeah, you're not used to it, man.
They haven't lost in 2 years, and that is the first time in 100 games that they lost to an unranked opponent.
Wow.
100 games. They beat an unranked opponent 100 in a row.
That's insane.
They're falling. Somebody said they're definitely behind. I think they said Penn State will definitely be behind Alabama in the chat. No, they won't. Penn State will be ahead of Alabama. There's no reason Penn State shouldn't be ahead of Alabama. They lost to number 3 Iowa.
Yeah. We'll see. I think I would guess Alabama, just because they were thought of so highly, will still be maybe a spot above Penn State, but I definitely get your side of the argument.
They can't be ahead. There's no way they can be ahead of Penn State.
We'll see.
Unless it's because they're number 1 and Penn State was number 4. I still think Alabama's got to fall. I think they got to be behind Penn State. It was a bad loss by Alabama tonight. Now they did, and they only beat Florida by 2. It's not like they ran over Florida either.
Yeah. Maybe they will drop. Maybe they will drop to 6 or 7.
I don't think they'll go to 7. I mean, listen, they might. No, they can't be ahead of Oklahoma. We'll see. They may be because they were number 1 and Penn State's number 4. But if I'm doing the rankings, I would have Penn State 1 spot above Alabama because the losses or the loss to A&M can't happen.
It'll be interesting. Jarrett, man, thank you very much. He says some weirdo on Twitter tried to tell me that Spencer Rattler is better than Daniel Jones right now.
This is what I'll say about this. Is what I mentioned about Spencer Rattler. And somebody said, Mike, it doesn't matter if A&M's got top 25 votes. They're unranked. Doesn't matter if they have top 25. There's a lot of teams that have top 25 votes. It doesn't make them a ranked team. They're not ranked. Iowa's ranked 3rd in the country. Iowa's one of the best teams in the country. Watch Iowa play football. They're really good. As far as the Spencer Rattler thing goes, I mentioned this and compared him to Daniel Jones. Rattler needs good pieces around him to succeed, which is why he would not be a good fit for the Giants. If Rattler gets drafted at the back end of the first round, he could be a very successful quarterback in the NFL. If he goes early, he's going to struggle. Rattler has no offensive line at OU, and until today, they really hadn't run the ball extremely effectively. I mean, Kennedy Brooks went over 200 yards. I've been screaming about Kennedy Brooks and why the hell they don't run him more. Rattler's not better than Daniel Jones right now. How the hell can you ever say any college quarterback is better?
let's think about this logically. And I guess I could understand somebody who Jones had a really disappointing year last year. So I could understand somebody before the year started being like,
you can't say a college quarterback's better than an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, but I could see somebody being like, but based off of what he's done so far, the guy got benched in college. How could you say he's better than a starting quarterback in the NFL? That's just stupid.
See what says Bama? Tell me how Alabama. These are people that don't watch college football. There's no way Alabama can be ranked second or third when they have lost a game and Oklahoma's undefeated, Cincinnati's undefeated, Iowa's undefeated, and Iowa just beat number 4 Penn State. How the hell could Alabama be 2? Come on, man. Do you guys not watch college football? Do you have no idea how the rankings work? How could anybody say Alabama's going to be 2 or 3 after losing to Texas A&M? Who got destroyed by Arkansas? Come on, guys.
I think the lowest, and we'll see tomorrow. I'm interested to see.
There's no way Alabama could be ahead of an undefeated
Monday,
team.
right?
They end up ahead of Penn State, okay, but they can't be ahead of an undefeated team.
They come out Monday?
Monday, yes.
The lowest, I'll make this bet right now. The lowest, and I think it's exactly where they'll be.
5
is 5. That's I can't see them lower than 5. I think that's the lowest Alabama will be. I could see them as high as 3.
I think this is as high as they can be. They can't be ahead of Cincinnati. They can't be ahead of Iowa. They can't be ahead of Oklahoma. They can't be ahead of those teams.
I'll say 5.
All Power 5 teams are all undefeated.
I think they'll be at 5.
I still think Penn State's got to be ahead. We'll see.
And Rolly, man, thank you very much. Chris, it's about making the playoffs, plain and simple. For me, right now, it doesn't look like we're making the playoffs, so it's time. Yeah, right now, fair, Rolly. It's something I'll talk about at the end of the year if I feel like it's even a discussion. But right now, listen, I just want the season to play out and see what the team looks like. And then I'll come to my assumption. I'm not going to say Gettleman needs to be fired every week. We'll see what the team looks like at the end of the year. We have all year to assess the team and see what they look like by year's end, and then come up with our, and I'll give my reasoning if I feel like there's at least some valid reason to at least consider keeping them at the end of the year. But right now, it's all speculation. We don't know what the team's going to do, and we'll see. Tyler says, also the first time Saban lost to a former coordinator.
Yeah, Saban doesn't usually. It's like Belichick's coordinators. Belichick doesn't usually lose to those guys either. But that's the first time in 100 games. That's crazy. They beat 100 unranked opponents in a row until tonight. A&M always gives them problems.
And Rolly says again, Chris, you're wrong. How long does a rebuild take? It's about making the playoffs, and we can't do that. Dave Gettleman is gone. We'll see at the end of the year. That's all I can tell you, man. And I'm just putting a hypothetical scenario out there. If the Giants win, say, 8 games and the defense severely underperforms and we have a lot of injuries and they don't want to move on from Daniel Jones, well, here's your 2 options, Rolly. And this is all speculative. We don't know what's going to happen. But there's your 2 options. If they want to concretely know that they're going to stay with Daniel Jones and they don't want to say Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback this year, and they're like, we want to grow with this guy, which option do you pick? Do you hire in-house or do you stick with Gettleman? Because those are your 2 options. If you want to stick with Daniel Jones and you don't want to fear bringing in an outsider that you want to give full autonomy to because you're going to fear that you may lose your potential top 10 quarterback, what would you rather? That's my hypothetical right now, Roldy. But let's get to that scenario before we even have to worry about it. Because we got to win 7 or 8 games at least before that even becomes a discussion. And Daniel Jones has to have a great year for the New York Giants. So let's get there first. Let's get to the end of the year before we talk about the hypotheticals.
All I would say is, what if we're 9-8 and we miss the playoffs?
9-8, I think he stays regardless.
No, I'm just saying, Roldy says about making a playoff. I'm just saying, what if we're 9-8 and we miss?
Yeah. And construction workers say, man, thank you very much. But in my opinion, we should be ranked number 5. It's embarrassing. I think you will be.
I mean, I can see that. Trust me. But if I was doing it, I would put Penn State ahead of Alabama. But I could definitely see them being 5. But there's no – somebody think it's funny. Like, oh, you think Cincinnati's better than – I didn't say that Cincinnati's better than Alabama. But if you actually watch Cincinnati play – Cincinnati's a very good team. They beat Notre Dame pretty handily in South Bend. That was a big win. Notre Dame is a top 10 team. Well, at the time, they were ranked 9. I know they barely squeaked by Virginia Tech tonight, okay? But Cincinnati's a damn good team. They were ranked 4th in the country coming into or 5th in the country going into tonight. They destroyed who the hell did they play last night? Not Maryland. Was it Maryland? Whoever it was, Maryland. Ohio State destroyed. I forgot who they played, but they destroyed them last night. Cincinnati's good. I'm not saying that they would beat Alabama, but you have to look at the right. Cincinnati's undefeated. Yeah. Alabama's not.
And they got
Cincinnati's
it.
not used to. They're not UCF. They're not playing Division III opponents.
They won in Notre Dame too. That was an impressive win.
They're good.
They destroyed them.
Cincinnati's good.
Cincinnati's good. And I saw somebody say score prediction. I think Nikki asked. We'll give that real quick. I'm going to go. I do think the game's going to be closer than the experts think. I do think the Giants are going to cover the spread. But I think Dallas wins. I think it's going to be pretty tight. And I think it's going to be relatively high scoring. I'm going to go 34-30 Dallas. I think the Giants keep it relatively close, but I'm going to have Dallas winning by 4 points, 34-30 Dallas.
I'm right in your neighborhood. I was going to say 34-28 Dallas. I do think that the Giants keep it close. I think they cover. But at the end of the day, I just think Dallas's offense is too much for our defense to stop. And 28 points is good enough to beat most teams. I don't think it'll be good enough to beat Dallas.
Yeah. I think we're right in the same area, about mid-30s for Dallas and Giants approaching close to 30. Mike, man, thank you very much. PSU we're going to close this in like 5 minutes. Sorry.
D. Grant said until Cincinnati beats the top 10 team, I just told you Notre Dame was ranked number 9 and they beat them in South Bend 24.
Actually, I think they were ranked higher. I think Notre Dame was 7.
I think they were 9. I thought Cincinnati was 7 and Notre Dame was 9.
Either way, 7. I think
either way, Notre Dame was a top 10 team. Cincinnati went into South Bend and dominated them. Yeah. They did beat a top 10 team. They did last 2 weeks ago. Come on.
And Mike says PSU was up 14 when the quarterback got hurt. Backup sucked. Oh, in the Iowa game today? Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the game.
Yeah, Iowa was losing 17-3 when the backup came in. But that just strengthens my argument for how good Penn State is, too.
Yeah. And Zahibe says, for college, I'm a UNC Tar Heels fan. When are they going to be good?
If they were going to win the ACC, it would have been this year. Clemson's done. Clemson stinks. Georgia broke them at the beginning of the year. Their offense is terrible. But it looks like Pittsburgh's going to win the ACC. I have no idea what the hell happened to North Carolina. North Carolina's been good the past couple of years. No clue what the hell happened to North Carolina this year.
Yeah, they're obviously more known for basketball, but they're usually relatively decent in football. Like they're usually ranked.
They have been. Sam Howell's been really good. Well, I mean, he was a Heisman favorite going into the year, so they've been disappointing.
And Frank, man, they were much sick of 2 or 3 good wins per season being considered improvement. Early take, we drafted an offensive line first round again. This is Frank Guzzi. Yeah, man. Frank, man. Thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, I mean, right now, Frank, I think that's definitely where we're headed, regardless of who the GM is next year. I think that's the clear need on the offense right now, right? Because you spent this entire offseason on the weapons and the offensive line, even though it's looked good and much better than we thought it would. And last week, I got to tip my cap. The offensive line, probably their best performance I've seen in years for the New York Giants. It was that good.
With Jones at quarterback, definitely.
Yeah, so it was fantastic, but I don't think they're fooling anybody. I don't think, we definitely don't have 5 long-term answers on this offensive line, and I think it's something that we need to continue to bring in young talent at that position, and we need to continue to build around Daniel Jones and the rest of these playmakers. So I definitely think that's something that we'll draft early next year, and edge rusher. I think those are the 2 spots you're looking at right now. And Saban again, he says, I just saw that they put Bama at number 7. Too early. The rankings don't come out till Monday. I don't know who came out with that, but too early right now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Ohio State will probably be ahead of them, too.
Oh, maybe they will be that well.
Because Ohio State, I forgot who the hell they lost another one. I don't know if it was Penn State that beat Ohio State. I forgot who the hell they play. Well, they might have to play Penn State. Did they lose to Iowa? Oregon beat them, and Oregon was the 3rd team in the country. So Oregon beat Ohio State, and then Ohio State won today 66-17. So, yeah, that makes sense. I actually could see them being 7. I could see Ohio State jumping them too.
Be interesting.
Because Ohio State lost to a ranked Oregon team. Then Oregon went out and probably lost to Stanford, but that's why college football is awesome. They could be 7.
I don't think they will be, but it's possible. Frank says, easy way to kill the live stream game plan. Drop super chat, mention Gettleman of the draft game. Hey, man, it is what it is, Frank. I know a lot of fans are going to want to talk about that, and he's the general manager at the end of the day, and he's a guy that a lot of people want out of here, understandably so. Haven't won a lot of football games since he's been here, but it's impossible for me to really answer conclusively that question until the end of the year, until I really have a feel about this team. Like, yeah, you could put a win total in terms of your opinion, and everybody's going to have their opinion. There's going to be people like Roldy that no matter what, and probably like you, Frank, that no matter what, if this team doesn't want to make the playoffs, they're going to want to move on. I may not necessarily feel that way, but I have to see a lot of things before I'm even open to the possibility. there's definitely a lot of pressure, and we definitely need to see a lot of progress this year with Gettleman. So that's what I'll say there. But I can't give you the final answer yet. Saban says Georgia, Iowa, Cincinnati, OSU, Ohio State, Penn State, all ahead. So there you go. There's your top 6, according to, I guess, the
I think he meant OU, not Oklahoma State. He meant OU.
Oh, OU, my bad.
But yes, there you go. Well, there you go. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
And Randy says, is DJ on pace to have a Josh Allen type season? No. Josh Allen had what, like 45 combined touchdowns?
Yeah, Daniel Jones has 4 touchdowns so far.
6 combined, but still, like, I think Allen had like 8 rushing and like 39 passing.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
47 combined touchdowns.
Hopefully he gets hot like Josh Allen did, though, and does start putting up those type of, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, last year, Josh Allen was arguably the second best quarterback in football. So, I mean, that's asking a lot. I always said that was asking a lot before the year started, but I'm not going to put those kind of expectations on Jones this year. Let's just hope, like Baddog said earlier in the stream, that Jones goes out there and has another really good performance, and he builds off of what he did last week. And, we'll take it one game at a time. But obviously a tough opponent tomorrow against Dallas. I think our toughest opponent so far this year. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a close game. And if we could find a way to win the turnover battle, I do think we stand a good chance to win. But that's, much easier said than done going against this Dallas team. And, like you were saying at the top, Baddog, stop the run. That's where it starts, or at least contain the run. That's where it starts against the Dallas offense. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. We went a little bit later than normal, but just thank you guys for all your support. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the boxing match if you're watching it. But thank you guys for all your support. We love doing this. Hopefully we see you guys back here tomorrow for the Giants game. Gonna have a lot of fun calling that America's Game of the Week. Been looking forward to calling that game all week. But looking forward to seeing each and every one of you guys here tomorrow. Baddog, can never say thank you enough for coming on. Looking forward to doing the show on your channel next week on the Week 6 matchup against the Rams. Hopefully we're coming off 2 straight wins. We'll see tomorrow. But Baddog, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Like I say it all the time, this is definitely my favorite thing that I do on YouTube. I love this show. I love the chat. It's always so good to do one of these shows after a W when we actually have some positivity to talk about instead of all the negative stuff. The Gettleman stuff is always going to be there. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still a 1-3 team. We have a really tough game against Dallas. There's no doubt about it. But, like we mentioned pretty much all night, I do think that the Giants can hang with Dallas. I do think that they can beat Dallas. But we're going to have to play a really good game. Daniel Jones is going to have to perform, and the defense is going to have to get some stops and probably force some turnovers. Dallas is a really good team. They're very balanced. But I do think the secondary, you can make plays against it. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully the Giants come out of there with a W, and then it turns our whole season around. And like Chris said, next week we're talking about 2 straight dubs going into the game against the Rams. So all we can hope for is the Giants improving week in and week out. And if you do beat a team like Dallas, maybe that really does start to put the Giants on the map. So see what happens tomorrow. But I appreciate all you guys and girls. You're the best subscribers and supporters on YouTube. We love you guys and girls to death. Giants have been a terrible team, and you're still always here supporting. I say it all the time, just wait till we're good. If we win tomorrow, it brings us a massive step towards being good. So let's hope we can beat the hated Cowboys.
Let's go Giants, guys. Have a good one. Baddog, do what you do.
For the Entertainment Talking Sports, the Bad Diggy Dizzle. We'll see you tomorrow. We gone. Peace.